Welcome, welcome. We are talking Black Panther and what we watch. Tweet it out, let everyone know it's time to chat. It is time. Happy Sunday, everyone. Let's talk about this soundtrack, honestly. You're listening to They Want It But No by Tobe and Fat. Welcome to What We Watch. Wakanda forever, baby. Tweet it out. I want to hear from everyone today. Y'all have been tweeting about it. Let's talk about it. I don't know about y'all, but I'm jamming. Head on over to whatwewatch.net. Tap in, join the community. Follow What We Watch Film TV. Welcome, welcome. If you want to come up and speak, tap the mic. We're here. I'm so excited to speak with all of you guys. Don't be shy. Who wants to come up and chat? Waiting on one of my co-hosts. Come on up, come on up. Kim, I see you. Jasmine, Henry. I see some new faces as well. Hello, Mamba Mentality. Kennard, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever today. We have been waiting for this for how long now? How long have we been waiting for this movie? It has been something that we have spoken about since the first one came out in 2018. How many times have y'all seen that movie? How many times have y'all seen the first Black Panther film? Let's talk about that. I've seen it at least 6 times, twice in theaters and once at the Hollywood, the Rose Bowl with the live orchestra. That was an incredible experience. Ever since Chadwick left us, right, we all know the grief and the pain that we've experienced overall with the pandemic, and then just on top of that, everything else that we've lost, including this undeniable talented man and legend in the film world. What is Black Panther, right? What has Black Panther become? What were we to expect? And I think we all were pretty much impressed. If I'm speaking out of turn, I have my hashtag gripe guys. My gripe guys are always welcome. This is not a safe space. However, this is a space. So we will chat, we will discuss, and we will learn from each other. So let's get into it. I want to welcome Henry to the stage. Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm doing well. If you're a speaker, you're more than welcome to tweet and share tweets up at the top of the space regarding the film. That is my dog. I don't know if you guys heard him. He wants to say hello. Rhonda also loves the movie. So let's talk about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, baby. Let's start with the soundtrack. What an incredible soundtrack, right, Henry?
Yeah, I agree. I only kind of just listened to a bit. I knew like after just like once the movie releases, I know it's going to drop like on Spotify and whatnot. But I've never had like any doubts when it comes to Ludwig Göransson and what he can do from like what he's been able to do within The Mandalorian.
Exactly.
Um, yes, and things like that. Like it's always very catchy, very ooh, like it hits you. And also even Boba Fett too, like all those types of like an eclectic array of what he uses, like with instruments and things like that. I ah I always I just love his work. So, but just like when I was just watching this movie, all those types of like sounds and the music, it all clicked. It was beautiful. Even with that sequence when we went into Talocan underwater, that was dope.
So yeah, and so I really appreciate you bringing up Ludwig. So I think we're saying his name right. So Ryan Coogler and Ludwig are not new to each other. However, Ludwig Göransson is fantastic. Thank you for naming some of his work. Obviously, Rihanna was a significant part of this music in this film, the soundtrack, and obviously there was a little ode to her in the film with the dialogue. We'll get to that if you remember correctly regarding the makeup scenes and dialogue. But yeah, I think what was so powerful to me about the music this time around for this second, right, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, the second Black Panther film, is the ode to like music around the world. I think one of the major currencies of this film was language and the use of language and the idea of like the differences in cultures and things like that and those power dynamics. And I think a lot of the music reflected those kind of cultural influences that we saw. If you listen to the soundtrack, there's at least four languages used in it, including English. And so it was really exciting to see some of the folk influences for Latin music, and just African, Nigerian music, and just Ghanaian. I think there was some Ghanaian artists in there, so it was just really exciting to hear that, and it was just the track list for this film is incredible. I mean, that's a playlist in and of itself. So very excited about that. Who else wants to chat about the soundtrack? Come on up and chat. Don't be shy, you guys. We are talking Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So I'm seeing a lot of tweets too about the lust that you guys have for these characters. Um, I would love to say that the actors have put on incredible performances. I mean, not one scene was void of incredible line delivery, incredible dialogue, and just beautiful people all around. We can admit this is not an anti horny space, but it is. I have been laughing at all of the tweets that thirsting over whomever and whenever. But I will say that I'm not you are not alone in that. Mbaku is still my guy. The Jabari are still my guys. I will do anything you guys tell me to do. That's great. I'm happy to be here. But I think one of my favorite performances of the film this time around was Angela Bassett, and because she, and I guess I should disclaimer here: there are spoilers here. If you have not watched the film and you care to miss spoilers, then this is not the space for you. This is for the what we watchers, right? The ones that go see the movie opening box office weekend and understand how important it is to support Black artists. Okay. But when we lost Queen Mother, it was very important that like she still delivered so much of what was important in that film and still wasn't a character that we saw through the end, right? So welcome, Dan, to the stage. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Good, doing good. How are you? Talk to me.
Um, I mean, all the performances were phenomenal. I mean, you could kind of run down the list, and I think any number of them could be nominated for a bunch of awards. I would hope Angela Bassett gets a lot of consideration, but they all could. I would throw in Michael B. Jordan's little cameo as like a best supporting actor worthy role. I thought he was so phenomenal in that little spot, and I loved. I mean, I think he was like extra yoked from just filming Creed 3 or whatever, and he looked phenomenal. If we're talking thirst traps and all that, and he was awesome, and everyone was so good in the movie. And I mean, I think I tweeted this on the page, but like all those roles for uh you know black female actors, like those movies don't exist, and to go with massive appeal. Like it's just amazing. I really love the movie, and it's just so cool to see this kind of stuff.
I think it was really cool to see that, right? Like um, a lot of times when you have so many powerful actors and performances, you kind of like struggle with cohesion. And the performances in this film were so cohesive. Everyone was on the same page. Everyone was in the same movie. The comedic relief timed
Yeah,
beautifully.
yeah. It wasn't like oh, like the X-Men movies, the new one.
Yeah,
Like it's like everyone's in a silly X-Men movie, and like Michael Fassbender's in like the most serious movie you've ever seen.
right, right, right. It made sense. Like even M'Baku with all of his amazing, comedic lines and delivery and just who he is as a character, he was still, there's still moments where you remember like he's still a part of this movie. Perfect delivery, just it
It's,
felt very cohesive.
my my
Everyone,
my 11-year-old daughter loves Winston Duke.
okay,
Loves him.
me
Loves
and your
him.
girl daughter handshake emoji. Okay, handshake. Okay, same girl. Okay. But yeah, I feel like the actors complemented each other, which was very important to watch. And again, just out of respect and love, I think for Chadwick Boseman, I think everyone knew what they had to do on set, right? It was very, very clear. But anybody else want to make any comments about the cast? Henry, go ahead. Henry, did you want to speak?
Oh yes, yes, sorry.
Go ahead.
So about the cast. Oh yeah. Oh, like each member just like really had stolen the scenes like they were in. I feel like, especially with the newcomer, I hope I'm saying his name right, Tinoch Huerta, right?
What? Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like his scenes as Namor, like or Namor in the film, like the way how you said it, like he just like stole those points and or stole those scenes, and then I think those moments like under Talakan with Shuri, you could just feel like the broodiness, the chilling, the calm, yet also also kind of comedic in a sense, because I think when you remember when she's talking about how like if Shuri was to like go like further underwater, like her bones would break, yada yada, this and that. But
Mm.
until but then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, but I got like a swimsuit or like a diving suit for you. It's cool. That was nice, and I put up on the nest or like the jumbotron or like whatever you would call that thing at the top here at the
Yeah.
space. Yeah, when Winston Duke he mentioned about like when he was calling out Okoye about her being a bald-headed demon.
Okay.
Apparently that was improv. Like he threw that in. Like I
Yeah.
thought that was amazing.
Yeah. No way that was written in the original screenplay.
You
But I love
bald-headed demon.
that
Like
again.
that's great.
M'Baku was it just he's in this like comedic film as well, but there were were the moments where he was consoling Shuri.
Oh
It was very powerful. I mean, just we're all in accordance here. Like everyone delivered beautifully, and especially, and that's an especially difficult task with losing Chadwick, but also just introducing so many new characters, right? And I was really glad, just from a Marvel Cinematic Universe standpoint. We're introduced to Michaela Coel's Aneka, I believe it is.
yes.
Um, we're introduced to Namor, obviously, of Talokan, and let's talk about underwater worlds and my affinity for them. Okay, you can't go wrong if there's an underwater world in your film. A plus, 10 out of 10. You got me. I'm good. Let's go. But we'll get there. And just Dominique Thorne as Ironheart. It was just really, really exciting to kind of see these new characters and these new actors on screen kind of really shine, right? Even Atuma, played by Alex Livinali, just everyone was fantastic. Everyone was great. And we got new people, we got new characters, and everyone was integrated really well into this Wakandan Black Panther universe. So it was very, very exciting. Let's talk about the Latino actors and, the underwater Mayan, I think it was what Mayan, Aztecan, Talocan, right? So everyone's been thirsting after Namor quite a bit. I get it. We get it. Again, my eyes and everything else was on M'Baku. But I feel you guys. again, here we have this underwater world. I'm going to admit something that I am slightly ashamed of. I didn't even really deeply recognize the reflections in the movie poster. Like I saw the water and it just didn't occur to me that there were reflections in the water. I don't know what it was. I was just so focused on how all the black people looked so beautiful and perfect on the poster that I didn't realize that the Talokan were like right under there, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like, of course. So I really went into this film not even really kind of knowing how much of an underwater world we were going to get. I thought maybe we were going to get Wakanda in the water, but we got Wakanda in the water with another world. And I was like, oh, shit, you know. So admittedly, movie posters, shout out to those artists as well. You know, what we watch celebrates all artists in film and the collaboration thereof. So how did y'all feel about this villain? And was he a villain? How did you feel about this additional world, this additional aspect, this additional power, right? Which is an important concept and theme in the lore in general, but just as far as telling these stories about what Wakanda is and what Wakanda was in Black Panther, the first film. So, how did y'all feel about that? Henry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like Namor, I think he was more of like what's it called? I think he was more of an antagonist than I guess slash a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all may have kind of heard of that difference. Like it didn't really dawn on to me. I think like this thought was before I watched the movie, but like several weeks ago, I guess like before like the movie came out, somebody was like mentioning about how like Namor will be probably seen more as an antagonist more than a villain, right? And I think we kind of then seen like towards the end of the film, it wasn't more of like kill off the villain, oh he's gone, like let's everybody celebrate. We had like a kind of like a full circle, and we could see what he and his people were kind of going through, right? And we saw the similarities from Talokan, and we seen the similarities with Wakanda, and you could see the scenes how they mirrored one another. And I
Right.
loved that when I was watching it, with the cinematography, like that was epic. I think they obviously were trying to message that to us that like hey we're like Team Panther, like Wakanda forever or Wakanda or whatever, but once we're seeing these new folks here that they're introducing us, it's like hey, well, they probably aren't so quote unquote evil or bad
Right.
like we may think.
It was really exciting because we have this power dynamic not between two forces, right? Which is standard in film. We've got, the white colonizer issue, and then we've got the other, protected land that has the resources, right? How many times have we seen that in films? Plenty of times, in and out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? So I mean, think Avatar, right? Think Prey, think all of that, right? And so I think what was exciting now was that we kind of got to see the the emergence of like what might have been an alliance, right? Because that was what Namor kept saying. He was like, "Look, you guys, same. We have vibranium too, and we protected too." And we're gonna get into how they protected it because the siren songs, guys, I died. Okay. I died. I came back alive. What an incredible, incredible technique and tool to use in this film. Oh my God. The sound was perfect. But I think it was really exciting to see kind of like these three powers at play, right? And I was so excited, so happy to see a significant decentering of the white colonization, right, our favorite white colonizer, and his kind of role in this be significantly decentered. I mean, it's important to maintain that, right, to tell the story of Wakanda because we all know what the foundation is. But it was really exciting to be like, actually, and I really appreciate Ryan Coogler for writing this way, right? So we got this underwater world of Talokan, right, with non-white history as well, with attacks and tough history with white people as well, with the United States as well. And so it was really exciting to see, okay, can they stick together, or are they also going to have these violent, vengeful ways they're going to cause chasms within these like cultural people that share this idea of like white supremacy being the issue. I was really excited to see that. And again, I can't tell y'all enough. The Road to El Dorado, Atlantis, all of that, that is my shit. Okay. I love me an underwater world. And while I saw a ton of complaints about the CGI and everything, it is very, very difficult, right? Aquaman 2, it is very, very difficult to like film underwater scenes and stuff like that. And so while I understand some of the disconnect that people maybe felt, I mean, I wasn't without it either. I was like, okay, no one's talking under here. Can they talk under here? What do they need? But I think for the purposes of just like the visuals and the accompanying music and the soundtrack, I think it was really exciting to see Shuri, visit Talokan and us sit with Namor, galvanizing his soldiers to go against them and attack that ship, right? It was really, really exciting to me. David, welcome to the stage. How are you?
I'm doing pretty darn good. Uh, you know, for me, I just think exactly what you said. There with the CGI, I really felt like number one, again, a lot of the criticisms I see being lodged at Black Panther, I find interesting because these are problems that happen all the time within Marvel. It's whether it's the CGI or whether it's that they don't allow enough time for emotion to really sit, or that sometimes the action sequences are below par, or they put too much into the computerized aspects from Black Widow going all the way back to some of the earlier Thors. So the point being that yeah, I felt as though that it is extreme. The difficulty is not being acknowledged in what has been done, especially when you're talking about underwater. And also, I think the intentions are not being discussed there. I think with regards to the underwater scenes, I think it's going with a lot of the themes of the movie, which is never trying to be clear on certain aspects. All of this stuff is murky. All of it is grimy. None of the politics of it, the human emotions involved in it, and I think the land in which they exist in that same sort of space. So and yet there's this beauty and poetry within it when you see Namor kind of drop down, which that shot that now everyone uses as a GIF really was fucking beautiful in the movie. And again, and there's a part I think again is not being discussed or just doesn't meet certain people's taste, because even when they arrive on that great bridge sequence and Namora starts walking up, I just thought that contrast of the sort of neon nature of the headdress that she's wearing as compared to the muted tone of her skin was absolutely gorgeous and mesmerizing. And again, part of this effect of you see that these people have, whether it's the siren or all this stuff. So I thought there was a lot of intention of what they were doing. Everyone's ignoring it based upon what they wanted to see or what their taste or values are in film and not paying attention to. Is this, and also combining that in what they've seen before with Marvel, but maybe that this time it wasn't, it looks like the same thing, but if you actually look, there was intention and points behind this, and you can argue that, but deal with not just on your own personal taste.
I agree. I agree fully. I think this movie had a lot to deliver, right? Maybe one of the highest expectations of any Marvel film in the last decade, just because of everything surrounding the politics and the pandemic and losing Chadwick. And I think you're making some great points about the purpose of the storytelling behind it, right? I've also seen kind of a lot of criticisms around just not only just the actor performances and the CGI, but a little bit about like what the story meant. And I think it was one of the most powerful stories, again, because we're talking about white supremacists without centering them. That is a very difficult thing to do. It is very difficult to acknowledge their presence in film without, constantly having it. I think about Black Woman King, right? And it's not a criticism because that was important in this new film and story. But Black Woman King, white supremacy was obviously the issue, and it was constantly there. But Black Panther Wakanda Forever had the freedom, had the range to be able to say, okay, we're going to have the white colonizers there, but let's introduce an entire new world. Let's introduce an entire new series of characters that are going to decenter that white supremacy even more, but also be inflicted by their bullshit, right? And still tell a really full, robust story. I mean, everything that was written came back to it, right? And I think, David, you and I talked about this from, just from seeing Namor and telling the story behind how he got his name, Sin Amor, right? I really appreciated that, right? How do you fit that into a Black Panther Wakanda Forever film without retracting from the rest of it? And I think, the writers really, and directors really succeeded in that, right? So now I know that his name is Namor because of a white, or a non-brown person saying, he was a child without love, right? So then now I'm invested in this character, right? Now I'm invested in this, underwater world Talokan that I was just introduced to maybe as a new Marvel Cinematic Universe fan, right? Because I always think about those of us that are like, I read the books, right? And those of us that are like, I watched this TV show, right? But I also, I think it's important for the people that haven't experienced that and may not be into that, for it to be a standalone film that's successful and that tells good stories. And I think that's what Black Panther Wakanda Forever did. It told the story independently so that if you've never seen a Marvel movie before, you still understand this film. You still are invested in the characters, right? Whether it be a villain or antagonist. And I think it's very, very powerful to also kind of establish this idea about like, who really is the villain? Is there a villain? Right? What is the villain? Is vibranium the resource that everybody wants, and that so are the villains people trying to take it, or do you understand why they're trying to take it? Right? Is the villain white supremacy? Is Namor the villain because they're also protected, but they were also protecting vibranium, but then they're using vengeance and wanting to kill, and this was very, very, very this was very unique, a very unique approach to make Dominique Thorne Ironheart, this young Black student, right? I mean, I guess it goes along with the story, but like when you're watching the movie, of course, everyone heard scientists, United States, and what you all kind of pictured in your head. It wasn't this young Black student. And so it was really cool to see that. And then now the Talokan want to kill this young Black woman. That's a student. That's incredibly intelligent. And it's like, oh no, hold on now. There's no way you're about to tell me that someone that tried to kill a young Black woman is not a villain, right? And so it kind of made you toy with all of these themes that we're kind of used to in film, which is like really clearly defining who is the bad guy, right? And who is the good guy. Even just kind of, the bravery in letting Letitia see Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger. Ugh, eye roll. Okay. Clap your hands. There's a heart with the plus sign at the bottom. Clap your hands if you were a Killmonger apologist /stan/truther, please. I need to see what problematic people we have in the audience right now. This is not a safe space, but go ahead and tell your truth. Stand in it. Stand deeply in it. I'm going to call some of y'all out. Killmonger truthers, go ahead. Bottom right, heart plus sign. I want to clap if you're a Killmonger truther. Okay, I see a couple of people that I don't trust. That's all right. We'll chat. I want you guys to come up here if you're a Killmonger truther, right? We're not going to start the dialogue again, but I do want to see what y'all have to say because, there. Anyways, all I know is that Black Panther 2 affirmed me in my anti-Killmongerness, okay? Because of the way that Shruti was pissed that he showed up in the ancestral plane, okay? If y'all were right, she would have been ecstatic, okay? But anyways, Dan, I saw your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just not like literally nodding along when you were talking of the storytelling. I thought Ryan Coogler did an amazing job with the story, and the degree of difficulty he had to achieve that is amazing too, because he thought he was going to be making a movie with Chadwick, and he had ideas for that, and then he had to make a different movie, and he had to figure out how to honor the character and the actor. So part of the story was a total meditation on grief that I thought worked really well. And then he also made this other story about the fears of colonization of these two societies, and that worked really well. And some of the themes were similar to the themes that Killmonger had in the first one, but it wasn't repetitive,
right,
at all. And at the end, how the tense truce was interesting, and
right.
it makes it even more complicated about the villain antagonist thing we were already talking about. And I found and I found the weakest part for me in terms of storytelling and actually performance and character is I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus to death, and she's been really never done anything bad in her life. I didn't like her character. I didn't think it added anything, and it you didn't need her as like the over. I don't know. I didn't care for that part, and it was already a long movie.
Let's
Put it that way.
let's talk about. I mean, it's like you were in my brain just now. I really want to talk about the white colonizers. I know I'm making space to talk about the white characters in this space, but it's important, right? They were in the movie. First of all, I love Martin Freeman. I love Everett. Okay, so does Black Panther Shooty. I really appreciated how he felt like an appropriate side character, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And like his scenes felt appropriate, like that we included them, it made sense, it drove the story forward a little bit. But then we had that like side story with Julia, and I think she was great. People were excited to see her on screen, right? It was exciting. But I agree with the criticisms, right? Like, did it actually add, right? We
and
have so many characters.
and we are, and I think at the very beginning he did a great job with the scene at the United Nations where they kind of cut back and forth with the raid on the facility, which was really cool too, to show that whether it was the French were behind, the French mercenaries or the Americans or whomever, or Americans and the French together, like you already had your big bad colonizer, who's pulling the strings. It doesn't have to be Julia Louis-Dreyfus at the CIA, like so
right.
we don't need that as like the bad guy, because we have the people at the top. We already have them in our minds.
Right. I agree. I think she really did just kind of add a little bit of flair around Martin Freeman's character, right? Just to kind of make it fun, give him some fun dialogue. But go ahead, David. I see your hand up, and welcome Bam to the stage.
Yeah, I just wanted to put a slight counter because it's not a full, because I do think that there were it's a tough kind of balance to do there, and I don't know that every scene with her, and I think more so than anything, tonally, I did not really connect with her being in the movie, but in a sense, I do feel some need for her to be there because she's there to extricate Martin Freeman. I really do think this movie acts as a response to the first one, and we all did not like Martin Freeman's presence, not because, as you said, none of us didn't like Martin Freeman, but because the CIA was involved to a degree nobody wanted. And you still want the character, but you don't want the CIA, and she's there to be a reason to extricate him out of the because their whole issue is the reason why he's eventually going to now not be a part of it, and now we're free just to enjoy Martin Freeman and free from the reins of being somebody that works for the CIA.
Exactly. And I fully agree. Like, again, I think it was a side story that decorated Martin Freeman. His name is Everett. I think it decorated Everett's character to make sure that when we did have to include him in the story, because, he didn't add too much to it, but he definitely didn't retract from the film. And we got smiles from Shruti to see that. We got ways that he kind of covered. Again, I say this again, as I said earlier, we included the white supremacy in that commentary without centering them. He was kind of just there in the background. There was enough dialogue to know how he was being helpful, what he was risking. I could go to jail. People have gone to jail or prison for much less than this, blah, 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 right? When they first met him in the woods. But let's talk a little bit about, too, how many bars were in this film. Because when we met Everett's character in this movie, Danae's character was like, Okoye was like, why would I have your number? Okay, shut this shit down. Shut the boys down, girls. There was a lot of woman supremacy in this movie too, guys, and that really, really excited me. There was in love and in vengeance and in fear and in protection and in grief, there was a lot of centering women and their emotions and their power. And I really, really, really appreciated that. It almost felt like there was a woman, I think Ryan is very particular about having women go over his work. And it's just so evident in some of the stories that he tells on screen, because you can tell he's very careful about the way that women are portrayed and not being these people that can even in sarcasm be disrespected or taken down or whatever the case may be, right? Even there was intentionality in showing the violence against women in this movie, which was really fucking cool, right? So let's talk about that though, right? Because I think what this film did really well too, right? We've lost our Black Panther. Like, I want to be very clear, you guys. There is the Black Panther left this earth, right? The MCU is dealing with a significant loss, right? Ryan Coogler was about to retire, right? And this is where What We Watch comes in. Please follow What We Watch Film TV. There's a significant way that we divert ourselves from the idea that this is a business, right? But these kind of things that happen where we lose Chadwick Boseman reminds us where we're at, right? And the limitations around telling stories in film. And so Ryan Coogler had to decide from from an entertainment perspective, from a career perspective, from a friend, family, love perspective, and a grieving perspective, how to write this story, right? With what their producers and what the Marvel Cinematic Universe needed. So it was a huge, huge feat. And we all kind of know that, right? Because we all know the expectations that we had for this film, right? Ryan Coogler and team and everybody that was a part of this knew the task at hand and understood it. And I think that was evident in the film. And so I think when we go back and we watch the first Black Panther, I don't know if you revisited the Black Panther one, I guess, before you revisited this one, let me know. Use the heart with the plus sign emoji and clap and let me know and come on up and talk about the differences. But what was really, really impressive about Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, was the way that they had callbacks to the first one, right? They very delicately had callbacks to the first one that included Black Panther's, experience and interaction with the characters on screen. They told the story and they really pulled out the negative things that happened in Black Panther, right? Like when the further we get away from the release of a film, the less we remember fully what occurred and how individual characters were, were presented and what they went through. And I think this really revived that, right? When we're talking about grief, and everyone has been tweeting about how clear the grief was in this film. We're talking about grief. We're talking about each individual character and what they suffered and the loss that they experienced in the previous film. And Black Panther Wakanda Forever really pulled that in. And every character got a chance to dialogue about, hold on now, I lost things too. And the epitome, right, the climax of remembering that was Angela Bassett, Queen Mother, saying what she had to say. Now, hold on now. Let's not talk about who lost everything, right? We've all lost, okay? I lost everything. Whatever the fuck I say goes. And I think it was very, very important, right? Because I think everyone believes that grief is linear, number one, or that grieving should look the same as everyone else. And I think it was very, 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 very cool and very delicate writing and storytelling that Ryan Coogler was able to say, okay, we all grieve differently, right? There was a very large message there. Nakia, she grieved differently than Shuri, than Queen Mother, than Danae, Okoye's character, than Aneka, than the people of Wakanda, right? Everybody grieved differently the loss of the Black Panther, right? And so it was just, I really appreciated how delicate that story was told there. Henry, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just when I raised my hand, it was just in terms of when what was it called? When Julia Louis Dreyfus, when her character was showing. Just a quick little mention of what I
Yeah.
thought. I thought it was fine. It did also kind of add to the kind of the comedy theatrics a bit, with Martin Freeman's character. I agree with Method Man's gestures, what he said in terms of it took away or it kind of helped Everett to get out of that, I guess, bad look from the previous film in that sense. Also, hello, hello,
Go
can you hear me?
ahead. Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
So what was I saying? Okay, so when we bring in what's her name, Val, it's kind of it kind of caters to, I guess, the side story, yet it also gives us a glimpse of what we are also probably going to see when it comes out in due time. You understand? Now we see, oh, she's ahead of the CIA. oh, she actually has a history with Martin, right? Or Martin Everett, right?
Right,
Um, so yeah, that was my little
right.
tidbit with that. But what were you saying? Like just a second ago, this current uh time of the space. What were you saying? Sorry, I just wanted to put my little
Just
thing there.
I was talking about the grief. I think everyone, did kind of hear. It was very important to kind of tell that story about grief and see the differences between all
Oh
of the
yes.
characters and how they were grieving. Not only the loss of Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther, right? But also the loss of the heart herb. Was a purple heart herb. What is it called? Uh, and so it was really, really, I really appreciated that. Again, I cannot stress enough, guys, and please tweet me how you feel or send me any tweets, or if you're a speaker, post at the top. I got a poll up top that's talking about um, how many times you've seen the first Black Panther, and honestly, how many times you plan on seeing this. But again, the way that Black Panther 2 pulled all the negative strife and the negative things, okay? So it wasn't just like, oh, I'm gonna talk about this movie and how everyone's affected by the loss of the Black Panther. I'm gonna talk about how everyone's affected by the loss of the Black Panther, also the heart herb, also everyone losing family members in the fights, also everyone kind of being a little bit shook about this new aquatic, feathered serpent winged god, whoever he is, right? Just the fear of the unknown, grieving family loss, grieving all of this, right? And if anything, for me, if there was a hierarchy for grief, I'm looking at Shuri, the Black Panther, like, okay, she lost her brother, which was her world, right? And I think the first Black Panther film showed that beautifully, how close they were, right? And there were many callbacks to how that was her rock. And so it was very important for Letitia Wright to kind of really sit in those emotional moments and really sell us on that performance of how much she misses her brother. And I think it was really cool that in order to kind of match her acting style, she's one of those people that grieves without talking about it. She grieves and she throws herself into her work, right? Whomst among us, right? Whomst among us has not grieved something so traumatic, so difficult, so harsh, and we just throw ourselves into our work because that's the only distraction we have to kind of really sit with the reality of what we just lost, right? And understanding that this loss is not a loss that's going to change. We can't win it back. We can seek revenge, which is where we get into her seeing Killmonger in the ancestral plane, becoming the Black Panther. First of all, thank goodness Lupita said the strength of the Black Panther this time, because y'all know, I don't know if y'all remember the jokes about Forrest Whitaker saying the strength of the Black Panther. I said, Lord, so glad Nakia did that. Lupita was fantastic. She really got to shine in this movie. But I really appreciate it. It was so touching. I see everybody talking about grief, and I think specifically when we talk about what this film was showing about grief was how everyone grieves differently. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, on that particular point, because what you said, I thought was one of the outstanding aspects about not only the fact that they were dealing with grief, but how they chose to deal with it. Because a lot of times with things like this, like you said, I think there is not only an expectation of some sort of linearness, but that that it's going to be safe and that we will be able to watch something that is more understandable and grabbable, that will make characters maybe more appealable, sympathetic, likable. There's a lot of decisions, like even to me, I'm about to call her Angela Bassett, obviously, but Rwanda said when she fires Ayo or Okoye, my bad, Okoye. But the point being that that whole scene is like, you mind you, she did do what she did, so she deserves to be called out for that. But at the same time, getting rid of one of your most foremost generals as you're on the forefront of war is not exactly the best strategic decision.
Right.
But it's a decision again made out of
Grief.
grief. And that's the way that grief impacts us all in these different ways. A lot of the choices that they made, both on dealing with I don't know why I'm forgetting about his name, but Namor, and weren't actually sound decision making. It was decision making being made under grief, and everyone, like you said, dealing with it in different ways. So that this thing is often, it looks a lot like when you shake a bottle of soda or something like that, and you let the cap off just a little bit, then it starts spilling out from the sides, and you really can't control where the spillage is going to go. And you just saw it going in all these different directions and disparate directions. And I just thought that was a really beautiful portrait. And yet at the end, I think, to wrap it all up by saying, even with all of this, you can come out on the other side of this and be respectable. Unlike Killmonger, I think this was such, in so many ways, an answer to what Killmonger started, or talking about the ways in which he conducted himself as far as creating revolution. It keeps moving Black Panther at least forward into an evolving understanding of what revolution is, and I appreciate it for that too.
Right. And I think what I want to segue from that right into kind of the conversation about the introduction of all of these characters. I mean, let's just talk about the excited moments of this movie, right? And how it portrayed grief, but like vengeance and power, right? And those dynamics, right? So we meet this undisclosed group of characters, right? And the United States is like, not these Wakandans once again, fucking our shit up. We know better than that to be going after them. But it's like, then, we get back and it's like, oh no, they're blue, right? They're blue people. What's this? And it's like, okay, hold on. We got the Marvel Cinematic Universe Avatar kind of mix crossover. Here we go. But it's like, okay, who are these blue people? And I think the entrance was so exciting. I wanted everyone on the stage to talk about their favorite entrances or their favorite kind of reveals, right? This siren song. We start to see, and this is where, we get into my horror bag, right? These are elements of horror in this film, right? A lot of Namor's dialogue in the first and second acts were based in fear. You're going to fear me. Do not speak of me to those white people, right? He told Queen Mother, don't do that. I have more, what was the most horrific line, and I've heard in a Marvel movie in a while, was when Namor said, I have more soldiers than you have blades of grass. We need to sit with how terrifying that bar is, okay? Do you know how many blades of grass we have in Wakanda, sir? What did you just say to me? Like, there's no way. I knew at that point, I said, no way. Okay, so this movie, they're not going to be able to fight these people. How do you have more soldiers than I have blades of grass? And then my engineering background that I try to stifle as much as I can, but I can't. I'm like, well, you know what? That makes sense because y'all know how earth and water works, okay? Y'all know how the ocean works. He's not lying. And so that was a horrifying thing to say in the middle of Letitia Wright's character and Angela Bassett's character, Mava and Shuri, trying to, process their grief. We interrupted this moment of mother-daughter healing, right? And we foreshadowed it perfectly, right? It was like perfect writing where you don't need your weapons where we're going. I said, oh, Lord, they finna get attacked. Lord, that she's not taking her weapons, she's not taking her beads, right? And so it was just really well written, and I appreciate that we interrupted this grief with like additional horror because that's reflective of what happens. You're grieving one thing, and then oh my God, here comes something else, right? For me, I remember my parents always being like, it's always something. I just feel like in those moments, I was like, here we go again. They're trying to, grieve the loss of their son/brother. And here go this other motherfucker with wings on his feet talking about, you need to go handle this. And it's like, whoa, all right, we're trying to process one thing at a time here. And this is part of why grief isn't linear. And so I thought that was an incredible entrance, right? Because again, it has been so clear in in numerous Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? That like, you can't penetrate Wakanda. Like, we will know if you try to get into Wakanda. And it was very exciting writing that it's like, actually, the ocean is pretty deep and we run that and we have a world under this and we talk to the animals in the ocean, the mammals and everybody and we just got into Wakanda no issue. That's horrifying, guys, right? And so you got to think about like how shook Wakanda had to be to meet a new kind of, who was to Talakana God, but whatever he was to Wakanda for to kind of see that and then have to address that in the midst of just burying the Black Panther, right? And we don't have any kind of purple heart herb or whatever it's called to really kind of build a new Black Panther, right? So he put us on notice. And then on top of that, I can't talk about him. I can't tell you who my nemesis is? Like, imagine, guys, just sit with the fact that you have this enemy in your life and you can't tell anybody that it's your enemy. That's how fucked up it is. Like, excuse my language, but I really appreciated that. That's how you get me invested in this new story, right? So now I've got Ironheart and I've got the Midnight Angels and I've got the Talokan, right? So, Bam, go ahead. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you for having me. And sorry for any additional noise in the background. I'm driving right now. But just to piggyback off of what you just said when you talk about entrances, my favorite entrance was our introduction to all the members of Telecon, and me as the mythology nerd that I am, when I saw like when I heard the siren song and watched those sailors start to walk off the edge, I was like, oh, this is the mythology of mermaids. Mermaids aren't our Ariel singing under the sea with a little crab friend and a little fish. No, they're these people who are going to enchant you and make you want to drown yourself. And I'm like, oh, this is tight work right here. I see what y'all doing. And then me, as I don't know if I can speak for all black people. I can't, and I won't. But me as a black man, I'm terrified of the ocean. I just think that's a place that's inherently, like, arbitrarily scary. So when these people are down there in their little underwater spacesuits and they have limited field of vision, and your partner is supposed to be behind you, and you're like, oh my God, this is so amazing, da 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 da, right? And oh wait, we don't have any signal from so and so. Where is he at? Turns around to see where your boy is, and he's no longer there, and he's cut away from his essentially his lifeline. There's nothing but frayed wire where he is supposed to be, and you guys are on the ocean floor. It is dark. You can't see anything else. It is cold. There's
something dark.
There.
It's cold. You can't swim.
Right. It's dark and hell is hot, but like there's something there with you. And I'm sitting here like I'm watching this in the theaters. I'm like, hey, yo, the water would be brown. The water would have been brown. Because that was scary. And then you have they attack the ship, and the one lady gets away with the guy in the helicopter. They flip everyone off, and they're like, yeah, we made it home scot-free. And then you get stopped in midair.
In the dark.
In the dark.
You can't swim. Okay, let's be very, very clear about the horror film that 10-minute scene was. Okay, I'm going to walk you guys through this because I don't think y'all really... I feel like the context comforts us, right? We know this is Marvel. We know that, like, but put this in any other movie, title it, whatever the fuck else you want to title it, right? Isolate this scene where somebody's pulling up on you, you're trying to do some research, you got your people in the depths of the ocean, the pressure's tough, that suit gives in, you're losing soldiers, you hear sounds, and your people start walking off of the ship into the water to their deaths. We all know that, like, we've seen the symbolism in drowning, right? Like, one of the most difficult, most traumatic ways to die is to drown, right? We've read about it. We've seen it in films. We know, the terroristic kind of, things that we do. These people are walking to their deaths to be drowned by these unknown blue people singing them to their deaths, right? There's two people in the control center listening to this, watching this, right? They have no idea what's going on. And then on top of that, they can fly. So wait. You're in the ocean, but you can also come out of the ocean? So, like, I'm fucked in the air and in the water? Like, I'm not even safe on my boat because you have me. So this is horrifying. This is a hell of a Marvel Cinematic entrance, guys. I want you guys to really sit with that. It was horrifying. Even as she's walking out, I forget her name. She was not that important, just to kind of set the tone, right? And that's how, again, I go back to white supremacy being the issue, but not being the center of this film, right? We use these white supremacist kind of, I need the resources, I don't care how it affects the people type of trope or storyline to show how powerful the Talokan were, right? Because, again, we are going into Black Panther knowing that Wakanda is that girl, right? Shout out to how many times they called Wakanda a woman. I love that. They were very intentional about that. There was a lot of dialogue and monologues about protecting her, Wakanda. Love that. But we're protecting her, and we know she's that girl. But then It's like, who are these additional people? Who are these additional creatures that can low key, run the water, but also kind of, take down helicopters in the air? What is actually going on? And so I really appreciated that entrance. My second favorite entrance, I don't know why I got excited because I love me. Well, I do know why, because I love me some Iron Man. I'm an Iron Man truther. Clap, press the heart with the plus sign at the bottom if you're an Iron Man lover and truther like I am. I sure am. Iron Man was right. Shout out Iron Man. His sacrifice. We love you so much, baby. But with Ironheart, I was so excited when Ironheart turned up, right? Because they kind of alluded to them creating this suit for her. But then when you saw it, I said, "Oh shit, she about to fuck some stuff up." I love this. Am I cussing too much while we watch? It's okay. It's my passion. It's the passion jumping out. But that was like one of my other favorite entrances in this film was little baby Ironheart Riri in there. I was like, okay, the Telecom might have a little problem now because my Iron Man and my Iron Hearts, they're good. Jasmine, what was your favorite entrance in the film? There's like 15 of them.
My favorite, first of all, thank you for inviting me to the stage.
You're welcome.
My favorite entrance was Killmonger.
All right.
I think no, because Shuri's in this like dream whatever sequence. You think as soon as she turned the corner in that chair on the throne, you think she's gonna sing Queen Mother, but no, it's Killmonger back, almost like a back with a vengeance because he was correct.
Oh, brother. We have a Killmonger truther on stage. If you'd like to join her, let me know. This is not the case, but Gripe guys are welcome. Here's the thing.
Can I also say that he was spitting bars?
Okay. All right.
And no, you asked me, here I am. He was like, because I could see Shuri and some of the people in the theater, they were shook. But he was like, you chose me. And then he was like, we're more alike than you think. And as soon as later in the movie when Shuri had a chance to like off Namor and she didn't, the first I was in that theater, I'm like, soft. Killmonger would not be doing this.
Killmonger is for the wannabe hard people, guys. Jasmine, thank you so much for sharing that. Killmonger don't make no sense. Killmonger is the reason Shuri is out here spending days, weeks, got folks waking up at 5 a.m. in Wakanda to rebuild the Purple Heart. But thanks, Killmonger. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for what you've done for Wakanda, my guy. Thank you so much for making people work hours that they are not comfortable working. The labor unions in Wakanda were struggling. They were like, okay, what is going on here? Okay. But thanks, Killmonger. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. It's interesting, though. It's been 4 years, a little over 4 years, nearly 5 years since the first Black Panther came out. And I'll never forget the dialogue on this very same app. Okay, speaking of this very same app, follow What We Watch Film TV. Just click at www Film TV at the top. Follow, join our spaces. We talk about film like this all the time. I remember specifically saying to my friends, I said, you know what? They gonna find a way to bring Killmonger back. I said it. I reluctantly said it. I was pissed when I said it. I said, they're going to find a way to have Killmonger. And let me tell you why they're going to find a way. Because this is a business, you guys. Shout out to celebrating artists and the collaborative process of filmmaking. That's why What We Watch is here. Please tweet out and hashtag What We Watch with your feelings about this space. We are celebrating the artists. I want to be very clear. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan love them some collaborations. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan have never not collaborated. They were there. They spoke. They want to do it together. They want to be in this film together. Ryan Coogler is going to have Michael B. Jordan in his film one way or another. Okay? And so I said, I know that we're going to see this wrong villain in this film again, and how are we going to do this? And of course, we see it by bringing out Shuri's vengeance and thirst and desire for vengeance in her processing her grief, right? Killmonger served as a symbol, thank goodness, and not much more, because what was he doing in the first film? But that's neither here nor there. I just there was symbolism in that kind of showing of the ancestral plane, and I really appreciate that Shruti didn't even tell anybody. So Killmonger didn't really get to shine outside of just being in the ancestral plane in Shruti's brain. Nakia was like, "Who did you see?" She was like, "Man, I ain't see nobody." That's right, because Killmonger is a nobody, guys. All right, you heard it here first. This is what we watch. Killmonger is a nobody. That's why she said that. Okay. But anyways, I somewhat respect that entrance. I mean, I can start naming off a few entrances for you guys. We've got Black Panther's entrance. We've got Namor's entrance. We've got Atuma's entrance, I think is his name. Yeah, I think Atuma was his name in the Talokan. We've got Ironheart's entrance. We've got M'Baku's entrance, right? Which I'm going to go ahead and say that's my favorite for reasons undisclosed, but I'm sure you guys can ascertain. Um, every entrance of M'Baku's was fantastic. I love when he's on screen. Best part of the movie. Please yell at me. Please beat my ass. Do whatever you got to do. That's neither here nor there, though. So I see some hands up. Dan, well, who was your favorite entrance?
I just wanted to say, I think the whole point was that Shuri rejected the incorrect take of Killmonger because he was bad, and that's why she made the right decision at the end of the movie. Like, I think Killmonger was used correctly, but he's definitely the bad guy. Like, I just think he's a good bad guy. I think that's my take on him.
As a villain apologist myself,
I think we talked about this on the villain show.
Yes, we talked, guys, what we watch is celebrating 2 years here in a couple of weeks. With that celebration of 2 years, we're going to have our first live in-person private event. So if you're subscribed to the newsletter, as we've been telling you to do, you got your tickets in there. Please get your tickets and join us in Hollywood. We're doing the Twitter Spaces thing together in person. Very exciting. But I appreciate you saying that, Dan, because I'm a villain apologist. Every What We Watcher for the past 2 years knows how I do. Knows how it is. And let me tell you, I could not defend Killmonger because here's the thing. Killmonger grieves in the ways that's like, it's a little too much. All right. It was a little too much. Now you've got you got people trying to unionize so that they don't have to work crazy hours for Shruti rebuilding and recreating this 3D purple heart herb or whatever the case may be. Okay. Killmonger created a lot of issues and used a lot of time and resources and made us use a lot of time and resources in order to get our protector of Wakanda, the Black Panther. Okay. He caused a lot of issues. I just couldn't defend him. Right. Yeah. But again, got back to my point earlier about this film showing how everyone grieves differently. And I think it was kind of, again, Ryan Coogler was going to have Michael B. Jordan in his film, guys. All right. That's why Killmonger was there. He was going to be in there one way or another. Doesn't matter if he's dead. He was going to be in that movie. That being said, though, I think, again, his symbolism there was, like you were saying, Dan, to an extent, he did symbolize the fact that he was a villain that was understood and that there were some aspects of his methodology that people can kind of, agree with, because whomst among us, right? One of the pillars of what we watch, whomst among us, right? We all need to see these characters. Whomst among us hasn't used and wanted revenge, right? Whomst among us hasn't let vengeance consume us and spite. Some of us are very spiteful people. I won't say any names, Jasmine. But some of us are very spiteful. No, I'm just kidding. I'm more spiteful than most people in this space. But I think that was very important to see. I don't know if it was important for me to see, but I appreciate the way he integrated Killmonger in this film, because I knew in 2019, I can't stress this enough. In 2019, I told my friends, I said, look, Killmonger's not done. He's going to show up somehow. And I couldn't wait to see how he was going to be shown in this movie. And I really appreciate the creativity in that. Bam, Jasmine, go ahead. I saw your hand up, Killmonger apologist. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to defend myself really quick. It's not like I'm 100% on Killmonger, but give
us a percentage.
Let's go with 89.
That's still problematic. Still very
because but you have to think about the way he was brought up. Pops is gone. Like, he's over here trying to, get back to his homeland. He had a right to the throne. The only thing that he did wrong, yes, was the burning of the herb. I think once he became king, money, clothes, and hoes just got to his head. Okay. Well, and
Okay.
And the almost like the throwing of T'Challa off the waterfall, that was a little much.
So what I hear you saying is you're okay with violence against women because you said the only thing he did wrong was kill the purple herb, but he also was hitting and beating on women. Did you know that? Did y'all know that in the space? Did you know that? Okay, I wanted to be clear about the 89% defense of Killmonger in this space. Go ahead.
Take me off the stage.
Anybody else? Killmonger. Again, I said this is not a safe space. However, I'm here to chat. We can chat. I'm totally open to chatting. Okay. Look
Can
at
I?
the. Go
Sorry.
ahead. Go. Welcome to the stage, Black Space Ghost. You're not a new face. Hello. Welcome to What We Watch.
Hello again. Hello again. So I know that Killmonger is sort of an emotional touchstone for people watching this, right? And like justifiably so. But I think the point he serves in the movie is not just reflecting what Shuri's going through, but more so it's a reference to his politics. Because like at its core, Black Panther, both in the comics and in the movies, it's a political story. It's political ideologies clashing, basically. And so most of this movie is about what Namor's perspective is as far as isolationism and looking at how that plays into Wakanda's former isolationism. And I think bringing in Killmonger at the point he comes in the movie is an important reminder of what his perspective was, good, bad, or indifferent, and how it compares to the other characters' perspectives. Because this is going to be a huge part of what they do with Black Panther going forward.
Right.
It's going to have to be a conversation about what America, what the Western world is going to bring into this. It has to be a conversation about what Doom, if Doom shows up, does to the political landscape, because that's another situation. Right. He's got a whole country that they're going to have to introduce.
So are you telling me that we're going to see Killmonger in Black Panther 3 as well? When is this going to be done?
So I mean, not Killmonger himself, no, but even from like a visual motif standpoint,
right,
I love what they did because the touches of gold on Shuri's suit. Now it's a reference to her suit in the comics, but also in the films, thematically, who had gold on their suit? Killmonger.
Right. We saw that shine, right? And we saw that like those themes that Killmonger carried. Right. Again, I was saying this earlier, Black Space, before you joined, but the references and the callbacks to the first film were very powerful to me. We took all the negative effects that what would have been the result from Black Panther, right? When we finish a movie, right, the movie's done, right? Like we don't remember. Black Panther can't be 5 hours where we sit with the effects of every catastrophe that happened on every character. But Black Panther revived those conversations and allowed these characters to have dialogue about how they were affected about everything that happened in the first Black Panther. I appreciate your commentary on politics. On top of that, I would add, number one, though, that when we talk about the inclusion, quote unquote, of politics in a lot of these films, I'm not saying it's moot as in it's not good to bring up, but it's moot and to say that it's always there, right? Politics,
absolutely, 100%.
Every single Marvel cinematic film, or that's redundant, but Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's in every single movie. The politics of, right, because and that's why these stories are so profound. That's why these ideas that we're seeing flying, metal suits and panthers with vibranium and all these kind of, all this lore in this fantasy, right? But it hits hard and it's grounded in something that we can understand because of the politics, right? And so I appreciate that. I think Killmonger's inclusion in this film kind of, reemphasizes the politics behind it, right? Like, are we going to protect Wakanda and how are we going to do that? But, to Jasmine's point about it being her favorite entrance, like, it was because we had an expectation. I don't think any of us that, I didn't watch I don't watch trailers. I don't read about films. I like to do it all after I watch the movie so I can form a what I call a pure enough opinion, right? To the extent that I can. And then I go read and watch everything after that. But I think to Jasmine's point, we didn't think that we were going to see Killmonger in the ancestral plane. I knew we were going to see Killmonger in this film, but I didn't know how. And so that was a little bit of a shock, right? So before I go to the next person, quickly tell me, Black Space, thank you. What was your favorite entrance in this film?
My favorite entrance in the film?
Yeah, character
I have to say when Queen Ramonda shows up to the UN meeting is probably my favorite scene in the movie. The speech she gives encapsulates what I love about the way that we've been shown Wakanda as a concept in film, because it's something that it's the thing I love about this, and it's something that we haven't seen before. Now, I haven't seen every movie, but the defiance, the pride, the ability to back it up, the bars, bringing in the captives, I love it. Amazing. Top to bottom.
We're going to talk about that. That I allotted 45 minutes for that scene alone, right? I allotted 45 minutes of this space to talk specifically about Angela Bassett and her triceps, biceps, deltoids, jawline, and collarbone. Okay.
Give her flowers.
This 45 minutes of this space will be that towards the end, you guys. We'll just celebrate and praise her in that. But I want to welcome Tej, and it looks like it's Money left. Tej, go ahead. We cannot hear you, Tej. Is it just me? Can we all hear everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Tej, you might want to jump in and jump back out. I saw It's Money come up to the stage, and I think It's Money, feel free to pop back up. It looks like Twitter Spaces are being rude to a few people. But David, I see your hand up. Go ahead. What's your favorite entrance?
Mine is the same as yours, or at least what you said earlier, which is the entrance of the, I guess, Tulagan people in general when they attacked the oil rig. It was, and I guess it's more so just for movie and cinematic reasons, and the whole build up I talked about on my teal, but I really do. A lot of people, when they talk about a great action sequence, are talking about the actual physical action going on. But a lot of times, sometimes when you're set up or either you're come down or some other aspect of the action sequence is really good, it'll cover the fact that maybe the actual action isn't all that great. I really remember distinctively when Heat came out, watching it and feeling like, God damn, something is like off in my body about how I'm receiving this scene, because I was so used to action movies that came before it, where people were just unloading clips at rates that are actually impossible. And, the explosions are going off everywhere and all this carnage. And it was this very muted, very realistic sense of action and fighting and where things are, and having you always be placed where, even though it's chaos, you know exactly where you're at any given time, which again speaks to these guys' professionalism. Well, here again, and it wasn't the same exact idea, but it's this idea about crafting your action around the ideas of who you're dealing with. And so it's the darkness, it's the unknown. I forgot who was speaking, I'm sorry, but who had talked about, being underwater and the fear of being underwater. And this is what these people use to their advantage. And the whole way it was shot to build up on it. And the whole way that build up was first the water still, then you just all of a sudden see one head pop up in the darkness, and then more heads pop up behind that head. And then there's a shot of back to the rig and the panic starting to build. And it just kept going and going and building. And I just felt like the hairs on my hands in the theater just standing up, like not only at the fear that was going on, but also alternatively with the craft as far as how he was shooting and building the scene eventually to the idea that this is not about them being like a bunch of ass kissers. This isn't like Flag Smashers or some of the other type of villains we've seen, even Killmonger himself, who is actually athletic and all about the athleticism, all about his abilities as a CIA agent. This is about the Horde. This is about, as what you said, the blades of grass. It wasn't just something that he talked. It's something that's introduced to us. That when these people come, they come in numbers and always with their crew, and they're not fucking around. They just cover everything. And even when you get to the end of the movie, that's what they're basically doing. I mean, it really comes down to either they get Namor to tell them to stop, or they're getting washed, because they were going to get killed. And the movie makes that explicit. So this is their power, and it was all done with that entrance. And so that was my favorite part.
Yes, and again, I call back to just it being a horror film. I love that. Thank you for saying that, because I think about the entrance, and Tej, you're next, and Mo, I know you had your hand up, or It's Money. I can see the term Mo. You two are next, but I just think about the entrance of Killmonger, right? Killmonger's entrance was kind of exposition. Who is he? Oh, he's this clever guy that like is anti-white supremacy and, don't let the artifacts in the museum be used for white gays, right? And so we got that before we got like the entrance of Killmonger as the Black Panther, taking over Wakanda, right? It was a little bit of a different approach to introduce him. Whereas here, like you were talking about and touching on, we got to see the action first. We said, okay, there's no guns here. I don't even have to touch you. I'm going to walk you to your death off of this ship. Like, that's exciting. That's fun. I talk a lot about how these films are for adults as well, but the child in me was ecstatic and scared. I was like, oh shit. These people don't even need to touch you and you gonna die. You gonna get fucked up. You're gonna drown. You're gonna die a traumatic, painful death and you can't do anything about it. And then we have the exposition after where we meet Namor later and it's like, oh yeah, sweetie, by the way, I got more of them people than you have blades of grass in Wakanda. Okay, so let's be very clear. You don't want to do these fights with me. And I, as a villain apologist, again, I have to stand. Let me show you before I talk to you, right? It's not even shoot first. It's like siren first, then ask questions later. It's like, all right, let's set the tone here. And also as an environmental engineer, I keep bringing up my background, but as an environmental engineer, this was an attack on like oil rigs, like you were saying. Thank you for defining what it was, right? And so we're mining resources that are valuable to these other worlds, right? How are we going to use them? There's a lot of dialogue with Everett and what is it, Valerie? What's her name? What's her name? Julia Dreyfus' character, right? There was some dialogue in that about like how are we going to use the resources? What would you use it for, right? Angela Bassett with her entrance that Black Space said, she was like, no. Vibranium is not the issue that we are fearful of, right? It's you guys and the way you guys wield it, right? And so it was very fun to kind of see that. And so we're seeing these people of Talocan take down this oil rig, right? Which is, again, just a lot of environmental protection agencies standing over here going on. But go ahead, Tej. Welcome to the stage.
I just want to quickly say something real quick about the horror you were talking about, which is that, man, I love it when it's accidental. Like when somebody goes like Killmonger and just starts shit, that's one thing. But I've always been afraid of the thing that you just happen into. Like that was the pull with The Grudge for me, was that like, damn, all you got to do is walk inside this house and you're fucked. That's very fucking scary to me because I could see myself easily doing that. And so the same thing with this, it was like you just, those people down there under the water, you're just like doing your job. And then all of a sudden you're dead. And that kept happening like over and over again. There's regular people in this, whether it's the old girl Riri, she's just doing what a student does, being brilliant. And then all of a sudden you're caught in this shit. That's scary to me.
Yes, exactly. Tej, welcome to the stage. Go ahead.
Thank you. I felt like my favorite entrance was definitely the Killmonger piece, and it's really stuck with me the way that they did it. You get 3 ancestral plane visits in the first film, 2 by Chadwick and 1 by Michael B. Jordan when he takes the throne. And in each of those instances, the people going to the ancestral plane are lost and they're seeking an answer. And so, they come out of these things and they feel like they found their answer and they march forward with greater purpose and also superpowers, right? Well, when we reach Shuri and she's got to this point where she's lonely, she's angry, she wants vengeance, and then she goes to the ancestral plane, and what's waiting for her isn't answers because she knows these are not answers, because when she comes out of the ancestral plane after a conversation with Killmonger, she's frustrated, she's angry. And so she goes in feeling lonely, and that's a part of her problem. And she comes out feeling even more lonely because, she goes to the ancestral plane, and it's not T'Challa down there. It's not her dad. It's not her mom. It's Killmonger, who's like, yeah, you want revenge, and that's why you want to be the Black Panther. Well, I also wanted revenge. That's why I wanted to be the Black Panther. So in some ways, he was the perfect person to come speak to her at that time just because of where her heart was. And setting the character up in that way to where she comes out of this thing and the viewer is going to expect her to get some answers and to be, solidified in her purpose, the exact opposite happens. And I thought that was just such a smart way to write it. I thought it was a very smart way to push the character forward. And like Mo said, we all knew that Michael B. Jordan was going to pop up in the movie. So a very great way of doing it, I think. And then we all knew by the time she got out and she wanted that vengeance, we knew she wasn't actually going to go through when she got the moment to kill Namor. She wasn't actually going to do it because that's not, her reasoning is not sound. And we knew that the character was going to be, redeem herself before we got there. But I thought it was just a really effective way to paint her for that part of the story. And I think it does a lot of work narratively to get her where you need to get her by the time she's about to fight Namor. So that would have been my favorite interest by far.
All right, are you a Killmonger truther?
Yes, I watched the first movie the day before I went to go see the second one,
Brother.
and the man has some bars, but I'm not like 80% like Jasmine. I'm probably more like 45 to 50%. I
It's
won't say that I'm a truther.
much healthier. That 45% I know is being carried by black supremacy, right? We get it.
Facts.
I respect that. All right. To an extent. Mo, welcome to the stage. I think you're a new face. If you've been on What We Watch, welcome. Follow What We Watch Film TV. Thank you for joining the chat. It's Mo. It's money. It's money. Euro sign money. Go ahead.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me. I really enjoy your spaces.
Yay. Thank you.
This is really good stuff to hear people talk about this movie like this. It's the
it's
most
fire, right?
yeah.
It's really cool.
It's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. To touch on Killmonger real quick, the man's got issues. the man's got issues.
That's the end of the story. There we go. We're good to go. Great.
He's it's like he's hurt and he's angry and he latches on to real things to seem righteous, but in reality, he's selfish.
Okay, you spin. Go ahead.
He really wants revenge. And because Michael B. Jordan's just so damn good at playing him, I think people just fuck with him. Like he really did a good job in that movie. Like looking back, he did a good job as the villain.
Here's the thing. I mean, he irritated the hell out of me. But like I said, I spoke to this a bit earlier before some of you, not most of you, some of you joined the space. But I think, Killmonger grieves a little differently, right?
Yeah.
And, I think this film, again, really highlighted how everyone grieves differently, right? Because everyone's talking about the great way to grieve and grief. But I think what it specifically was showing was how everybody grieves differently. And I think the way Killmonger grieves is one of the most annoying ways, right? We're also allowed to hate the way people grieve, right? Because some people grieve by harming other people. Some people grieve by closing in. Some people grieve by throwing themselves into their work and their creative arts and stuff like that. My least favorite are the people that go and destroy all your resources that, supplement your fucking protector of your entire fucking, country. And it's like, all right, bro.
Yeah, in the grand scheme.
We get it, bro, but relax, okay?
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, he really did hurt Wakanda.
He did.
He really did.
I think this film told the truth. Thank God, it told the truth. Yeah. Whomst among us hasn't been mad, right? You get mad, you fuck up something. Once, you feel like once something is messed up, then you go and mess up a million other things. And you're like, damn it, now I got to clean all of this up, right? Yeah. But Killmonger didn't have to do that. He didn't have to clean anything up. Everybody else did, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think people, like I said earlier, and I think Tisha said it too, like narratively speaking, I think it was very unique to include him in the ancestral plane because number one, how else would you? Because that motherfucker dead. Number one. Number two, as he should be. Number two, I think again to highlight this theme of vengeance, which is often a product of grief, if not a kind of a linear like a stronghold of it, right? Like when we're grieving, at times we expect restitution, and I think that's what Killmonger's like foundation is, right? Was restitution. So everybody that's like a Killmonger truther is like, no. We got to get our licks back, and we got to show really in charge, right? And we got to inflict pain upon them because, again, part of quote unquote healing requires restitution. But Killmonger's methodology was extremely irritating to me, right? Which is why he came to the ancestral plane and irritated the fuck out of Shruti as well. But we've gone way too long in this space without talking about the Dora Milaje. What is going on? Excuse me. Does no one have their favorite entrance for the Dora Milaje when they were pretending to be shook by them white folks coming in there with the military folks? Now, here's the thing. Military folks got eaten up on Veterans Day. I thought that was sweet, sweet irony. I said, now, hold on a second. Why did y'all do that to these people now? But again, I'm going to go with the dark-skinned black women eating motherfuckers up with little knives and machetes and what she had, these little spears. Okay, very exciting to include comedic relief in an impressive attack, right? It's so much fun to see them pretending to be shook, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's behind that door. Go ahead and get that vibranium that you want so bad. And then we're cutting, right? This is where, shout out to Ryan Coogler, right? This is where we talk about directing, okay? I'm gonna walk you through this, guys. We're talking about directing here. We have, I think Black Space talked about his favorite entrance was Angela Bassett's into that fucking courtroom. Bars, okay, bar after bar after bar. But then we cut to what's actually happening. And at the time that we cut to what's actually happening with these soldiers, intruding upon to kind of steal vibranium, we don't know if that's already happened or if it's happening right now. So we're
Mm.
talking, right? And at first we're like, okay. And then we go cut back and she's spitting bars again, or actually she's not spitting bars, she's still listening. She's listening to the French and the United States kind of talk about what it means to leave Queen Mother in power of Wakanda, right? We're like, okay, cool. We go back, directing, we cut back to these Wakandans, the Dora Milaje, little did we know, like experiencing an attack, and they're afraid, they're acting in fear. They look like they're taking an L. And then we cut back to Queen Mother, and she's barring people up. And my favorite thing about Queen Mother's speech is that it was maybe 50 seconds. Okay, go
Oh,
back and watch the film again. She barred an entire group of people, multiple nations, multiple people, in about 50 seconds. She said what she had to say in 4 sentences. And I think I've said this enough in spaces before, but there's beauty in brevity. I was floored. That is fucking good writing, okay? Paired with the fantastic directing, first 30 minutes of this movie, I'm ecstatic. I'm having the time of my life at this point because we've cut back multiple times. We don't really know what's going on. We're hearing these people talk. Then Angela Bassett, Queen Mother, says what she has to say in less than a minute. And you're
cooked
like,
them.
makes perfect sense. And then you see the Dora Milaje eat these people up, right? Danae at the front, Danae Guerrera, Okoye at the front, excuse me, owning them, slicing their guns, right? Again, a lot of what's exciting about Black Panther is the way that they don't give a damn about no guns, right? Which is the United States and the world of white supremacy's biggest, weapon, right? They don't give a damn about none of that. I'm about to fuck you up with some vibranium, some knives, some sharp knives, and a suit, right? I don't care nothing about your guns, right? And that was reflected also when we introduced the Taliban, or when we were introduced to the Taliban. They also didn't give a damn about no guns. What is this, sweetie? Okay. And not only did they not give a damn about the guns, but then we saw Okoye eat them up with her spear, and they still revived themselves. And I like that the dialogue called back multiple times. She brought it up like 2 more times later in the film, like, I gave them fatal blows and they came back alive. So we got the
For
siren,
real.
we got them ruling the earth, we got them ruling the water, somehow being able to fly. Okoye's spear, which we've seen eat in Black Panther 1 and 2, be very clear, my friends. We've seen what that spear can do in 2 movies now, 3 movies now, actually, because what was that? Where she was it 3 movies? You know what the other one is, where Okoye was in it, and but we've seen the spear do that, and the blades of grass comment from Namor, the Talokan, they can't be stopped. But go ahead, it's money.
Oh, yeah. Everything you said there was great, by the way. Like,
Thank you.
Dora
I,
Milaje was great in this movie, especially Michaela Coel. Um,
God, I have to.
she's I've loved her since us first saw Chewing Gum. Like, she's great. And I say before I bow out, I just want to say this: my favorite entrance, to answer the question, favorite entrance was definitely Namor's. Um, I cannot say it, I cannot emphasize this enough. Tenoch Huerta is an amazing actor.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
first saw him in Narcos Mexico, and he was amazing in that. Him and Diego Luna. And Diego Luna is doing his thing on Andor right now. So
Right.
it's great to see both of them doing big things because they're both amazing actors.
Right.
And he was great in this role. When he first came out the water and he like Namor looked genuinely ecstatic that this land that he was told of by his mother exists, and like he could actually have an ally against the people that would want to take the things away from his people.
Exactly. I was.
And
Go ahead.
he goes to great lengths to secure that. Some of them good, some of them not so good. But ultimately, he was such a great part of the movie. He's my favorite part of the movie, honestly.
I mean, beautiful. I love seeing all the tweets about Namor. Thank you for coming up to the space to speak. I really, really appreciated that, right? Because again, we've got this new character, and I think his ethnicity is Latino, right? Like, or uh, yeah, he's Mexican. Okay, he's Mexican.
Yes.
And I think it was just very exciting to be introduced to these new characters that maybe people have never seen before. But again, for me, it wasn't just the actor performances, guys. It was the writing for me. He delivered his lines perfectly, but the writing really made me invested. I don't care how cool you are on screen. I know that Marvel depends quite a bit on that, but not in a way that it becomes a crutch, right? I think the writing that Ryan Coogler and I keep there's two writers credited on the film, and I hate that I keep forgetting the second person, but I'm okay with giving Ryan Coogler his flowers. I think the writing around Namor was so well done and so well placed within the film and the directing of it and the cinematography that the story was entirely complete. I actually don't care how cool you are at killing people or shutting people down with fear if I'm not invested in your history, right? That's kind of why I am the villain apologist I am, because I want to understand where you came from. So when I hear you say that your mother did XYZ for you and some random motherfucker had the nerve to tell you that you are a child without love, I can see why you turned up the last 10,000 years. I get it. I fully get it, right? And so we built that, right? But we didn't build it first. We didn't try to get sympathy initially. We showed that there was a bunch of vengeance. And then we eventually got eased into like, he's not that bad of a guy. And to shout out, I'm going to make a weird parallel here, but stay with me. Michaela Coel, the Aneka in this film, is a brilliant, one of the most brilliant writers of our generation. I can't stress this enough. She's a brilliant writer, actress, producer, and she writes gray characters very, 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 very well. And I think that Tenoch Huerta's character Namor was written in such a beautiful gray area, like Michaela Coel like almost wrote him, right? Where it was again like, okay, you about to kill a young black woman scientist, not you about to kill our Ironheart Riri. You can't do that. That's not allowed. But you have this sympathetic time with him and sometimes even empathetic time with him where you're like, damn. And Mbaku's line really kind of drove that home, right? Where he said, guys, this man is not like a president to him or a king. He is a god to them. Okay. And I really appreciated that writing that is like, there's a difference between a king and a god, right? There's a difference between a president, a king, and a god. He is not a king to them. There's no successor to this man per se, right? Is what we're saying, is what that dialogue was saying. And I'm really glad that M'Baku said that, because that's what made Namor's entrance and everything that he did so exciting. That's what made him a powerful, I think it was, who was it earlier that said he was like maybe an antagonist as opposed to a villain. That's what made that exciting. He is a god, right? Black Panther is somewhat resembling a god to Wakanda as well, which is why Black Panther had to come back to Wakanda in order, had to come back to Wakanda to even make a fighting chance against the Talokan and is it the feathered serpent god? Is that his name? Feathered winged god? What is his name? Feathered serpent? Somebody help me out here on the stage here. Is it feathered serpent?
I think it is Feathered Serpent.
Yeah, it's Feathered Serpent God.
Feathered serpent god. Okay, yeah, that was terrifying. Welcome, Killer Cow to stage. Those of you on the stage, please raise your hands and let me know what you want to say. Those of you in the audience, let me know how you feel. Tweet me, tweet the space, tweet out what we watch, follow what we watch, Film TV. Let us know how you felt about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We're talking about our favorite entrances. Then we're going to get into the language, and then we're going to wrap it up with some of our favorite performances and quotables, as we always do in what we watch. Killer Cow, go ahead, baby. Welcome to the stage.
Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for joining. All these different thoughts are just making the experience of the movie like a lot richer for me. So I appreciate y'all. I wanted to say that in its own very, I'm trying not to be too abstract with this, but like one of my favorite character introductions was actually like the world of Talokan. And I want to say it like in this kind of way, which is like I've only gotten a chance to see the movie once, but like one of the things that has really struck me so much is just kind of like just how present and central like the women of this movie are, as protagonists and sort of like moving the action forward. And I think that's true in the writing, the performances, but also like the direction. And one of the things that someone on the space said was like how not central like white supremacy culture is to like this movie, and
That
everything that we
was me, the host, baby. Yes, go ahead.
thank you for guiding us. Because we know like what Namor is afraid of with people discovering like Telecon, and sort of like what the designs of America is on his world. But like when we see Namor take Shuri there, the way that you see her experience or sort of see Telecon for the first time, you see just kind of like the wonder and the excitement in her. She's not threatened by it. She doesn't see it as an opportunity. She just sees it as kind of like a new, beautiful world. And that is characterizing for her. And that sequence continues, and it's almost like, are they about to smash? Like, are they about to are they about to burn the world together as the writing goes? I only seen it once. I don't remember everything.
Okay, come on, alternate ending. Okay, come on, director's cut, alternate ending.
And I'm saying,
You are wild.
I'm saying, and I think that like it just, I think the same thing about the Killmonger scene, right? Like, I have nothing against Killmonger, but like,
I do.
It's more what that scene reveals about Shuri, and I think that that's just kind of like true about this movie, like where I was almost kind of like overwhelmed about like I've just never. I can't believe I'm seeing this on the screen in a movie as big as this, like in a cinematic world like as big as the MCU, and I think that's just credit to like the writing and the direction. So,
Amen.
like
Yes.
I'm still almost kind of like overcome. I can't find my words, for that, but like I think that is just kind of central to kind of the movie that we're talking about right now. I'm still on the floor.
Absolutely. First of all, Killical, what you said to open up, thank you so much. That is a pillar and a foundation of what we watch to make the experience of watching films more enriching. Thank you so much for saying that, and welcome to the stage for that. Secondly, I love your Avi. Okay. And thirdly, we're going to actually talk about Black Panther. I think what we need to recognize, right, in the feat of Black Panther and the lovely man and talented actor and artist Chadwick Boseman that we lost. We're watching Black Panther with no Black Panther. I want to be very clear. We were watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and we were introduced to maybe 30 characters before we got to meet Black Panther, right? What other film is allowed to do that in that way? Okay? If I'm watching a movie called Black Panther, I need to see my Black Panther immediately. And so for this film to succeed in presenting that character, right? And the way you were talking about Killical, which is Shuri, right? We kind of all had an idea, a good enough idea that Shuri was going to be the Black Panther, but it was very important to build up to how she became the Black Panther, right? And so did I roll my eyes when Killmonger was on screen? Yes. But I think you guys make a good point where it was really not about Killmonger. It was about, let's not forget that in the point of grieving that Shuri has and becoming the Black Panther, there is some restitution that she expects. There is some vengeance that she kind of desires, right? Sometimes we want people to suffer, right? And in those last moments when she's with Namor, she was about to die, and she was like, actually no. And so she sees, I think I want to shout out Brittany, who's not comfortable coming on the stage right now or is unable to, but she brought this out, the second visit from or the second kind of view or flashback or premonition or whatever it was from Killmonger, I think it was, and he showed up again, where she was kind of looking back. And she was like, okay, we can't let vengeance consume us. I think that was very, very important. So shout out to that. Welcome, Kyra, and One Humble to says, I want to let Angela Liz speak, and then One Humble, then Kyra. Go ahead. Angela Liz.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but one of my favorite things that happened in the movie is, Namor talks about, like, essentially white people are evil, they enslaved us for our resources and all this other shit. But, sorry, I just came from walking my dog. Apologize if I'm breathing hard. But one of my favorite things in this movie is how, like, Haiti was, like, featured in the movie. because as you guys know, Haiti was like the first Black republic, and we killed French people essentially to
Correct.
become a free nation. But I really like how
Correct.
like there's like these two sides kind of like fighting each other, and then it's like, oh, also she's in Haiti, which I love. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh no, I love that, and I think we did not say I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sorry, but I'm Latina. I say IT. I try to say Haiti, but it's IT for me. But I really appreciate the presence of IT as well, because I was talking about briefly, but earlier, and touching on just the cultural aspects and the in the music, specifically in the soundtrack of this film, there's a lot of language, and I think that's what I wanted to talk about next, was the language and the history behind, or that kind of propped up Black Panther Wakanda Forever the way it did. And it felt very intentional to include multiple languages, multiple people from different backgrounds and cultures, trying to find parallels within their experiences, or trying to find common ground on who was the actual villain, or trying to find ways to say I'm more powerful, right? This is kind of what we were talking about earlier with like the politics in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a lot of that is based on the culture and the geographical locations of these worlds and these people. So yeah, definitely, I really appreciated them being in IT as well, and of course our prince. Our young beautiful prince. I can't talk about too much. I'm gonna cry. Having a Haitian name as well was just a beautiful, beautiful touch. I mean, just really beautifully written film. One Humble, go ahead.
Hey, thanks for hosting another space. Always enjoy them. For me, I think my favorite entrance was actually when Namor's henchmen were trying to capture um, the schoolgirl, the college student on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the one-on-one between
yes,
between Denai Guerrero's character and the big blue guy. I have
yeah.
no idea what his name is, because what
Atuma.
Atuma, yeah, it actually.
Thank you.
It reminded me so much of, if you've ever seen Troy, and how
what you mean have you ever seen Troy? Clap if you've seen Troy. Clap if you've seen Troy. You spitting right now, but go ahead, baby. Clap if you.
That same like one-on-one. It gave me that same kind of like, and I'll call it anxiety, but that like that anticipation of like, damn, what's the next move going to be? So I really love that fight sequence between Denai's character and Atuma. And then I've been thinking about why they used Killmonger as I guess the Vision.
Mm-hmm.
And this is totally theory here, but it might just be, I think about like the end of the film where Shuri doesn't show up to like the I call it the initiation, right? To challenge for the throne. And I think it might be one of those things where it's just signatory of just like, this is her being Black Panther is just temporary, and maybe she doesn't actually need to be on the throne, because she would go out and burn the whole world down. Like in that instant, she didn't do it to Namor, but it's what's to say she would stop if like the United States tried to, or any other foreign invader. She may not actually stop herself. So maybe that's why they had Killmonger there as in her vision space.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm very anti-Killmonger, right? I've heard a series of percentages of support for him. Henry, my lovely co-host, feel free to chime in eventually too. But here's the thing. I'm like a 2%, and that 2% is because, shout out Black people winning. But the more I was watching the film, and the more I thought about it afterwards, right? Because I've been thinking about it nonstop. Again, from a writing perspective, it was very, very impressive, and it was almost necessary, right? I can't believe I'm saying that, but I don't see who else she would have seen in the ancestral plane, right? I mean, I get it, right? If it was the expected characters that showed up, we would have just gotten another kind of what felt like a reheating of what Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther, may he rest in beautiful peace, in the ancestral plane. But this time we got, and what it showed to me was that the ancestral plane is not this perfectly peaceful place to visit. It's a place where you might be faced with some shit that you don't want to admit. And I really appreciated that, because it's like the ancestral plane, right? And we talk about this when you meet your gods, or however kind of spirituality, conversations you may have. It's like these people know a little bit about you that you don't really want to talk about. They know the parts of you that you don't really want to admit. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That ancestral plane will show you some shit that you don't want to face about yourself. And I think what it drove further to me, if we could just divest is the term that I was looking for earlier, divest from Killmonger a bit. I think what it really highlighted was her grieving her mother later on, and the importance, right? Because before they were interrupted by the wonderful Namor with his winged feet, lame but very cool. His Before she was saying that, she was talking about how important it is to heal, right? And what did Queen Mother say to Shuri? She was like, "Sweetie, you think that I'm making up these visions and whatever, but what do you dream up then? Is it helpful to you?" So again, Angela Bassett's Queen Mother character, I mean, the writing for her was fucking perfect.
That was a powerful line when she said that to her.
She barred everybody up in concise sentences. It's one or two sentences. We missed it. I don't have to do too much talking. I have to stand. She said, okay, cool. So you think I'm making shit up. What shit do you make up? Does it help you? Period. Okay. And so I think that was like important, right? To know that Shruti, okay, if you do want to heal, or if it's so difficult for you to heal, or if everybody else is just dealing with shit in their own whatever way and it's not effective for you, is what you're doing effective? Is what you're doing helping you in any way? Does it bring you joy? Does it bring you peace? Does it make you smile? Are you getting further down the road? And so that Killmonger kind of thing was like, okay, the ancestral plane revisiting, okay, you are focused a lot on vengeance, but are we actually going to heal if we do this, right? And that's why she said it wasn't even about, she didn't even say, I think that was very intentional too. She didn't say we won't let vengeance consume us. We said if we do, it will also consume our people, right? So again, it showed that kind of byproduct of what revenge does. And when you are in a place of power, right? It was very profound. When you are in a place of power seeking revenge, there's other shit that can occur, right? You're including your people now. And I think she even remembered what M'Baku said, saying, all right, now you go to war with this person that's a god to them. This isn't going to be never ending. So I appreciated that. Kyra, go ahead. Welcome.
Hey everybody! I hope you guys are having a good afternoon, night, evening, wherever you are. My favorite entrance was actually Julia Louis Dreyfus, because a lot of people in the theater did not know who her character was because they didn't watch Miss Marvel. So that was very interesting to see who she was to Ross. One thing that made me uncomfortable, but in the best way, was watching our brothers and sisters fight each other, our Latino brothers and sisters fight our Black brothers and sisters, because I think it's a metaphor almost for what's happening now. Like, we shouldn't be fighting together. We should be together and going. I'm not saying white people are the enemy, but I'm saying having a good understanding. No, I'm not saying that either.
Right.
So so you're knowing who's the enemy and actually fighting the enemy and actually doing what you're supposed to do as someone who's supposed to be in the moral right, I believe. But it was beautiful seeing them together, like someone said earlier, seeing Shuri and seeing how she saw it with like brand new eyes as like the wonderment of a child. And that was probably very beautiful to Namor. But he's like, at the end of the day, I will burn you and everybody else to the ground to protect my people, which is an amazing attribute for a leader, to do anything you possibly can to keep your people safe. And I know you're not a Killmonger apologist, but he was right. T'Challa was too noble to do what needed to be done, because there's always got to be the right and the left hand, and sometimes the left hand don't need to know what the right hand is doing.
Oh, brother.
I'm not saying that it's Killmonger. I'm saying, like, in general, you need the black hat as well as the white hat.
I welcome the Killmonger truthers with my constant sighs and moans and groans. Okay. I get it. Like I said, I'm a 2% Killmonger supporter, guys. I mean, y'all got 2% out of me.
I think it was just beautifully written, and to see, like I said, the thing that got me the most was like I was like, oh, I don't like us fighting each other. I don't like that. We both got the same thing. We have the same goals, aspirations. Let's expound on that. Let's not fight.
I just love when a movie too makes me not put my eggs in one basket, right? Because as a Black Latina myself, I agree with you, Carl. I'm like, whoa, we got to link up. But like low key, you talk to me crazy like that, I'm gonna fight you too, whether you black, brown, yellow, white, whatever. So I was kind of like, but I couldn't pick a side between the Talokan and Wakanda for a while. Obviously, I was picking Wakanda because aligned Black woman here. But from the other perspectives, I was like, to me, I feel all of you. And, not to be that like, center zero, what is it, zero ground, whatever.
No, everybody had a point. Like the thing is, everybody
like,
had a point, and that was the problem.
Right. I was like, oh, y'all kind of making points. Damn. Okay, shit. Well, let's just see what happens, which makes me enjoy the film. Like, I was literally just there for the ride, I got to grieve Chadwick Boseman. I got to celebrate Shuri. I got to meet Namor. I got to cheer on Ironheart, who was, it was a task to include Ironheart in this film.
They did a very good job, Monique, with the source material. As you know, I'm a big stan of source material. They did a very good job of keeping, because we weren't sure because of all the changes they made, and due to Chadwick's passing, and then also because real life Shuri Letitia was acting up, so we didn't know if she was going to take on the mantle for sure. And that was my thing.
Yeah, and I think it was just really exciting to kind of see this Dominique play Ironheart, right? And so we've got this new character that we're all kind of shook about. We're like, okay, how does she get involved? Oh, I see how she gets involved. And she adds a lot of fun to the movie, right? Like, I like when characters are fun. She was fun. I didn't need her to be this profound character with additional storylines that propped up other people and characters and gave, us ways to invest more. She was a fun character that did the thing when it needed to be done. She had resources that helped the Wakandans. It was great, right? It was a really good time. From the time she was captured in Talokan, she was hilarious. She was fun. This is a tough time. This is a stressful time. We're mirroring Queen Mother's grief for finding her daughter to like Ironheart being like, damn, so the one time I got captured, y'all ain't got Black Panther. And it was just a really good like time to like even things up and make things fun, right? A lot of Marvel movies are fun to me. Thor Love and Thunder was fucking fun as hell, even what am I thinking about? There's another Marvel film that I just thought was so much fun. The Dragon Rings one, Shang-Chi was so much fun. And so I just really appreciated that Black Panther was still fun in these like, trying to address everything that happened and include the right characters, right? So it was a good time. Black Space, go ahead.
So the last point that you were making about Shuri and her relationship with her spirituality and her conversations with her mom, I wanted to come back to that because I think that's super important. And they made some very intentional choices with the rest of the movie that people who have read the source material will pick up on. So essentially, the thing that stood out from like probably the first scene, I think they mentioned it by name, the name of the AI that she built, that's voiced by Trevor Noah, I believe, is Griot. And that's a term, that's an important figure in Ta-Nehisi Coates' run of Black Panther. I believe he did a 3-year run, and it's referential to Shuri's entire arc in that, where she goes on a long journey through the ancestral plane and develops a relationship with her culture on that level, guided by a griot, a spirit that keeps an oral history of her people's culture. And ultimately, she assumes that as a mantle when she comes back to the living world. And my, I guess, sort of selfish hope is that they explore that more with her character, as they've already sort of set up somebody to succeed her, which, for spoiler reasons, I guess we won't get into a ton at the end of the movie. But I think that'd be a very interesting way for them to pursue her character's development based on what they've already set up as far as establishing that concept. And making it a big focal point of this movie that she's a very staunch, almost non-believer of the spiritual aspect of her culture, outright denying it at points. It sets her up for a great arc if they take that approach going forward.
Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you so much. The talented, perfect Ta-Nehisi Coates. Thank you so much for referencing. Yes, he did write quite a bit of a Black Panther series, right? Henry, I'm sure you could expound upon that too, my lovely co-host that knows all of the source material. Thank you, Black Space. I think for sure, right? Because you're right. She did talk about tradition, right? In the first, 30 minutes of the movie, she kept talking about, okay, well, tradition got us where, okay? And tradition, my ass, basically, in as much words. So I definitely think that character arc is an exciting thing that we can see moving forward, that we saw starting to close, right? We kind of already been given a hint that that's where she's going when she kind of reluctantly went after losing her mother as well to say, okay, let me burn these funeral pieces. Like my mama told me before Namor came and fucked shit up. So, Dan, go ahead, and then David, then Teach.
Yeah, I thought one of the things that was cool with Riri and her entrance, and like it sounds like it worked for all of you who are kind of steeped in the source material. I'm not at all. And one of the things I liked about this movie is that it worked totally outside of a Marvel context. You really didn't have to know anything about Marvel to enjoy it, and it really worked on its own terms as a film. But her entrance just in the movie, I thought was really good because it did add a ton of fun. She was funny, her character was cool, and she had a great performance, like really loose. But it also kind of brought the audience, at least like an American audience, like in our theater I saw it,
right,
kind of to it because it's a young like American kid that like brought African American culture like that we could relate to or more. So it kind of just it eased us back into the movie like a little
yes,
more. I thought in a way that just made it a little bit lighter when the movie needed a little lightness.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think I like your point because, again, I stand by this. I said it earlier. I think you were in the room too. But I think a great movie, a great film incorporates things that are from the universes around it, incorporates, whatever is in the first part of the trilogy or whatever the case would be, the movie that came before it. It incorporates the characters from the lore. It incorporates, the source material. That's what a great movie does. But to me, the best movies, and I always pay attention to this, the best movies stand alone and still incorporate all that and tell a profound and complete story still if you don't know any of that stuff. And I think that's where I judge quite a few films for myself is like if you did not know, obviously maybe it doesn't hit as hard because you didn't read the source material or the comics or you didn't read all the articles and watch all the YouTube videos that the rest of us nerds do, right? But did it still hit? Were you still invested in the character arcs and or transformations and or success or failures of each of these characters independent of the cinematic universe, right? You show your child in 20 years their first Marvel film is Black Panther 2. Is that a good place to start? Is it okay for them to see that and still feel excited when they do understand the rest of the source material? And I think that's a good way to gauge. And I think it was really fun to just see that this movie in my head it did it pretty successfully, right? Obviously in some cases there's a lot that a movie relies on, especially in Marvel, right, to know everything else, but I think this still was profound, exciting. It was analytical and just politics and grief and family and everything, but it was still fun and I still understood where characters came from
It
even if I
didn't
didn't
feel
read it.
it didn't
Yeah,
feel weighed down by 18 22 movies before it. It didn't feel weighed
yeah,
down by 37
exactly,
other characters that we had
right,
to deal with because
right.
of some other shit going on from 3 movies before it. It didn't have any
Exactly.
of that. And I think other Marvel movies do. And this
Yeah.
one had zero. And maybe that's because Coogler can,
Fucking
tell
right.
Marvel like this is my fucking story, fuck off. Maybe he has
Yeah.
that power now. I don't know, but
Right.
it worked and it made it so much more enjoyable to me, and I love that it kind of could stand on its own and emotionally and
Yes.
have its resonance, and I just thought that it stands on its own. It's not
Right.
weighed down by all that stuff. And
right.
yeah,
The
love that.
exposition and the introduction felt like it flowed. It didn't feel like a departure from the film, right? And a departure for whatever the audience expected. It felt like an adage. It was good.
100%.
Yeah, it was good. Tej, go ahead. Then David. Then Carmen. Hi, Carmen. Welcome. Go ahead, Tej.
First of all, I want to revisit that our esteemed host scoffed at one of the powers of Namor, which is to have winged feet. But Namor can also talk to animals, and I know that our esteemed host would love to be able to talk to animals. So let's be careful with the shade that we give to Namor, first of all.
Mo would be talking to whales in 3.6
okay.
seconds easily. Whales, penguins, all that shit.
Okay, first of all, why am I being dragged? Second of all, how y'all know I don't talk to animals already? Go ahead, Teach. Go ahead.
I love
Lots
the
of
point,
assumptions here.
I love the point someone made earlier about kind of like the black and brown relations angle. And I thought it was so poignant the way they did it. The first movie really deals with the biggest superpower in the world is full of black people and nobody knows about it. But the question of what do we do with this power? Should we be using that power to do outreach and to help other people who look like us across the world? There's just such a poignant thing to put into a film, especially a film that's going to be consumed by a largely white audience. I think that was just such a dope thing to do, and I felt the same way about kind of the black and brown relations angle we got going on here with Namor and the conversation they're having, where Namor is saying, people who don't look like us are using their powers to oppress people who look like us, and we are better unified. And of course, as a black or brown person, you're watching the movie, you're going, well, he's making some sense. And so if his goal is to bring the two most powerful nations in the world, who happen to be full of people of color, together to, one, protect ourselves, even if his idea of protection means to destroy the rest of the world, there's still some power in it. And I just think that what Cole and Coogler are doing with the writing is just so cool, just because, again, this is all happening in front of companies. So calling the only white character in the movie, or one of the only white characters in the movie, a colonizer, when I was leaving my theater, a little white kid looked up to his mom and was like, "Mom, what's a colonizer?" That actually happened. Like,
yeah, let's talk about it, Mom.
These are conversations that they have to talk about now because it's been placed.
That conversation is not happening in that house.
It's not.
Let's be real.
But let's talk about it, Mom. Teach, I hope you stepped in.
I did
Let me tell you what a colonizer is.
The mom curved it. I wish I had went over there and be like, "Well, a colonizer is," but the mom curved it. The mom was like, "Let's go, Timmy."
Baby, we call that critical race theory. Let's go home.
Okay, let's talk about it. Right, again, like I was saying earlier, the politics are always there. It doesn't exist without. No, I think that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And it was Kyra that said that earlier. So yeah, thank you. My as the esteemed host that y'all trying to drag, Kyra is my esteemed project specialist. She is the reason why I am accountable to what we watch quite a bit.
I'll drag you too. Don't worry.
Well, see, here we go, guys. She makes sure things are done. She makes sure that I deliver what you guys need and what we watch. So please, round of applause to her. I cannot do everything that what we watch is providing for all of you wonderful people, film goers, and filmmakers and artists alike. She keeps me to task, and it is not a joke. I cannot get anything past her. But anyways, I think that was very, very exciting. And again, I'm going to just insert very quickly here how I talked about it briefly. David, you're next. Then Carmen, welcome, baby. So glad you're here. But I want to very quickly interject with that and talk about the language. I said this earlier, but guys, you guys have got to be excited about how much language was in this movie. You guys have got to be as excited as me about this. I can't let you guys not be as excited about this. Every time you talk about Black Panther, you have to talk about how many languages were spoken. How exciting is that, right? So exciting. Nakia, Lupita, who is fluent in like multiple languages herself, got to absolutely fucking shine. I was ecstatic for her. As someone that speaks more languages than probably most people in this room as well, I speak 3 languages. I was ecstatic about the French, the Aztec, Mayan, I think it was Mayan or Mexican cultures, the Spain Spanish that was spoken as well, right? Just obviously the English, and then the Wakandan, what is the Wakandan languages? I think there was a few that we were introduced to just from historically and present. It was just, I was ecstatic about that writing. That was so much fun. And Rio got to, is it Grio or Rio? The AI got to, translate and identify And, you know, Okoye got to do her thing in multiple languages. Queen Mother did too, right? When she was speaking French in the courtroom. Remember, she was like, whatever she said. I think she spoke French. Or who else? Who was it that spoke some French? Maybe it was
It was
Okoye in French
Okoye.
as well. Okoye that spoke the French. And then it was Nakia speaking all the languages that she did to kind of infiltrate being that spy. I mean, just really fucking exciting. That language in film is so important. That's kind of what we watch is about too, is just understanding the different cultures and the stories. And language is very important in the stories that we tell, because a lot of times things are lost in translation, right? And you know that if you watch any kind of foreign film, Japanese, South Korean films, like there's a lot that's lost in translation. And so things hit harder when people are speaking their mother tongues. And oh my God, I was just ecstatic about that. And so to see Black and Brown and the people of non-color not be people of no color not be centered in this movie was very, very exciting. I don't need you to continue to show me how bad the white people in the United States in this movie are. You know, I don't need to keep seeing that. And so Black Panther 2 and Wakanda Forever was very meticulous and very intentional about like, yeah. The colonizers are there, but like we got a bunch of other shit going on. So, David, go ahead. Or my co-host Henry, you may speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, to piggyback off the language aspect, a couple of crazy things I learned watching some of the actors do press was Tenoch Huerta, who doesn't do a lot of English speaking roles, was talking about how, you know, he was really self conscious about, Spanish is his first language, and he doesn't know English all that well, and he talked about how the cast was very welcoming and helpful, and with him being self conscious about how he pronounced his English and stuff like that, and her name that played Namora, Mabel Cadena, I believe her name is.
Mabel Cadena. Yep.
She didn't know English at all before working on this film, and not only did she had to learn ancient Yucatan Mayan, she had to learn English as well. So the language part of this movie is crazy.
Let's celebrate these artists. I think back to Everything Everywhere All at Once and just celebrating these artists and these actors that are doing the motherfucking thing to tell us these stories on screen. The language, including these people, these non-white artists in Hollywood blockbusters, in box office hits, right? Look at what Black Panther has done in the box office. Look at the spaces, look at the tweets shared up top, you guys, and scroll through. We're talking, this is very important that this is a shift in the industry that we are seeing. It is very, very important. Get very, very excited that it's not just English everywhere, right? And whites, and I'm going to say it, white heterosexual English Catholicism, right? It's like we're seeing an amalgamation of a bunch of cultures outside of that come together and just really tell a different story, and it's very fucking exciting. It's very cool to watch. Let Ryan Coogler keep making movies. Who said it earlier? Ryan Coogler gets to just do whatever he wants. Like, that's very important. It's very important to support Black filmmakers and artists and screenwriters and show hosts like myself. I really appreciate you guys. We're going to take these last few hands, and then we're going to end with talking about our favorite characters and or quotes and anything else you might have missed. And I appreciate you guys spending your Sunday afternoon, evening with me. Carmen, hi.
Hey.
Talk to me.
I haven't been on in a while. How you been?
I've been wonderful.
Well, don't answer that. We're going to sidetrack. So my favorite entrance was Namor, but not the first time we see Namor, but different versions of Namor. So I like the introduction of young Namor. I don't know why I like that. So it's like finally seeing that he can fly, like we knew he could fly, but seeing it happen. And then the first time we saw him fly as an adult as well was like pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of when the gods all came down to fight the Titans in Immortals. It made me think of that, which is like one of my favorite fight scenes in all of film. So I was really excited to see him fly.
What film were you talking about? I can barely hear you. If you could speak up just a bit.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. What film were you?
Immortals. When
Immortals.
The gods came down at the end to fight the Titans, and like they were all moving like, really fast compared to everybody else, especially what's the one who runs? Crap, what's his name? I forget the name of the guy who runs really fast, but they were all like moving faster than Titans. I think that's one of my favorite
fight scenes in film in general. So seeing him fly as an adult and like, you know, kind of fucking up them Wakandan ships was kind of cool, even though
It was
he was fucking up
extremely
Wakandan ships, and I didn't really appreciate that.
yeah, you toeing the line, but I respect it. I respect it.
No, I didn't appreciate him doing that, but it was
It was
it
it
was
was
kind of cool.
it was.
It was kind of cool, but also like seeing that we knew he had wings on his ankles and that he could fly, but like seeing him fly for the first time as a child was kind of cool. Like the way he levitated. I keep thinking about how Ogre kind of floats down in Tekken 3, which nobody ever cares about except me. So that was my favorite intro, was
I love
Namor,
that.
but not the first Namor
Yeah,
sighting.
it was an intro, it was like, but an entrance, but another entrance. I feel you. I respect that. That was actually very fun. I can't believe we haven't talked about that more. That was a very fun time. Not, it wasn't fun because we know Team Wakanda, but
Right.
again, it showed, right. We got the exposition with the action, right. We got like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, Namor was not playing. He quite literally killed the Queen Mother, guys. Like, he was like, I'll be back. Like, again,
Whew.
told you I got more soldiers than you have blades of grass, guys. That is a
Which
terrifying.
is nuts. Like,
That
how
is
do
a
you just tell
terrifying thing to
somebody
say.
casually?
That is why I very gently. I'm afraid he's gonna come and bust through my window and take me. Now I can swim now, but remember when he was talking to me and he was like, "Sweetie, the mere pressure, or the movement, or the current of this will crush your bones and da da da." But we have a suit, right? It was funny. It was fun. But I was a little shook. But can I be honest? Am I allowed to be honest in my own space? Can I be honest? Can I
Maybe.
wings on your ankles? I don't like it. I don't like that. But I don't respect.
Oh, brother.
But
Namor,
why? Why?
please, I love you, Namor.
This
Please
is
don't.
ridiculous.
I would never
Can you
call
please
you.
tell us why? Like, what do you hate about
Oh
it?
God, I just like okay.
She's a hater.
Achilles heel.
You know what? Actually, that's a good enough answer for me. I don't need to hear anything else.
Are we not allowed to like be honest here? I was like, oh God, not these ugly ass wings. Let me tell you why though. Let me bring it back to you guys. That's why when Black Panther sliced one off, I was like, yeah, that's right. Slice them wings off. Slice all four
So
of them.
not because
I
she
was
was,
ecstatic.
defeating the person and protecting her people, but because you hated the wings
Oh,
is
I
why
was like,
you.
these wings. I was like, Lord, what if they grow back? She's gonna help him grow back his wings when they make up. I said, Lord, but I was
Lord.
I
So
said,
you're not feeling the nod to Hermes, the god of
here,
April?
Hermes, that's who it was.
here's the thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing, Henry. Trust me, I get it. The feather serpent god, the Greek. Here's the thing.
Cool
Cool,
God.
cool god. Okay, very sexy, very hot. Why do you have wings on your feet, my guy? I don't like it. It just
How
doesn't.
else would he be feathered, Mo?
It doesn't feel. We could put the wings anywhere else.
Yeah,
I feel as though
you come up with a better way for a fish man to fly.
It wouldn't be as cool
it
for
gave
him to
me
fly if they were anywhere else.
it gave me flying fish as well because that's where they have the little that looks like wings or whatever. I was like I'm just gonna say it like this. I was happy when Black Panther sliced him off. I said that's right.
It is just like a
Wow.
woman to
Wow.
like a tall man, but not like a man who can fly because he has wings on his feet. That's
I
ridiculous.
need you to.
What?
He could be as tall as you need him to be. He could be 20
Now
feet
wait a
tall.
minute. Wait a minute.
Here's
I'm
the
not
thing.
on Mo's side on this, but I don't know if I'm on that
He
side
could be
either. I don't know what's
25
going on
foot
with that.
tall in 1 second, and that's not good enough for Mo. That's crazy.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
That's nuts.
You know what? Maybe the wings should have been a different color. Maybe she had a little trim of gold on them. I don't know. They
You
weren't.
know what? A gold wing would have been fire.
Carmen, see, you see now I'm getting y'all. Y'all
But
see what I'm
I didn't have a
saying now.
problem with his wings the way they are. So I'm still not on your side.
Angela, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how I felt about him having the wings, but I will say one of the coldest things he said is like he just killed that lady's mom, and he goes, "You're the queen now," and I'm like, "You disrespectful bitch!" Like,
Jesus.
Yo,
I was
it was mad bars in this movie. Can we talk about it?
like,
I was shook.
like she's dead. You looking at her
I
in the
don't.
face, and you're like, "You're the queen," like,
I
bruh,
don't
like.
respect none of y'all that think that Killmonger was a better villain. There's no way. Namor looked people dead in their face and was like, yeah, no, that's great. I have more soldiers than blades of grass. I said what I said. I'm finna do what it does. Now you're the queen. Okay, handle that. I'll be back in a week. That's terrifying. He don't play. I respect it. And again, he don't do too much talking. I love that the Queen Mother and Namor really didn't do too much talking. The only time he did a little bit of talking was when he was like, all right, we gonna tell you, let me show you Telecom, right? The only time he did a lot of talking was to flex. Okay, come on now, I respect it. The only time he was talking a lot was to flex. Let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, so now that we're done with this little history lesson, I'm going to kill this girl. Okay, you do what you gotta do, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I have to respect it. Killmonger did a bunch of extra shit, guys. He was hitting women. What are you doing? Why do you have to hit women? What are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on now? Nobody. Everybody's just a little shook that you're doing a lot, burning stuff up. Killmonger, relax.
Namor killed a woman.
Namor killed a woman after he explained what was going on. Okay.
After
Like
one of his own was
yeah,
killed as well.
he already gave her a warning. Like
Yes, it was
Killmonger
one.
was just doing shit to do
Killmonger was
shit.
just Killmonger. Relax, bro. Damn. Everybody was already shook. He already took the throne. Everybody was already shook. Okay. He's slapping and hitting women. This is crazy. It's crazy. I didn't understand it. Calm down. We get it. You wanna show people what Wakanda's about, and now look what you did. Now we got Black Panther 2. Everybody gotta clean up your mess. Typical black man. We gotta clean up your mess because you wanted to be vengeful. Okay? Like, all right, bro. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to my black men. I love y'all. But, y'all be on some shit sometimes. We're going to end with our favorite bars of the film because there were way too many to count. Again, I cannot celebrate enough the beauty and the brevity. Guys, I had a great time in every single scene. The people with the most bars, it took them 18 seconds or less to say what they had to say. And all of us in the theater were gasping a little bit. I looked to my left and my right. Our eyes were shook. Our eyes were open. We were shook. We were like, oh damn, and like I was saying, Kyra, and you get it, like people were making points, and that's what makes a film exciting. Like I'm like, damn, you put me in this movie, I'm like, shit, I don't know. Let's chat with Namor. Maybe he has a point. Then I was like, no, let's talk with Shuri. No, Queen Mother is right. No, you gotta grieve, you gotta heal. Then I was like, fuck healing. We got work to do. It was just, I was everywhere. I was being pulled by every character. Nakia was like, nah, I'm not doing all this shit. Then when she, conceded to go ahead and do her thing, Miss Student trying to like discover stuff, Nakia got to shine beautifully in this movie, right? And then we met our prince. Okay, our prince had a bar. Our prince was like, oh, sweetie, by the way, that's my Haitian name. You feel me? Language here. That's my Haitian name. I'm Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. Okay, I bawled, guys. I cried. I sobbed. All right. So last few minutes, I want to first, you got to answer how many times you cried during this movie, and then what was your favorite bar or quote, right? I got your favorite entrance, introduction. We had a beautiful conversation about all of the characters and all the aspects of filmmaking. Tell me your favorite bar, and we might come back because I know a lot of people didn't do their due diligence and watch this box office opening weekend, but we might come back for those of us that have watched it, are going to watch it a second or third time, or those of us that are watching it right now. I got 5 people that are like, Monique, I'm watching it right now. Please let me speak at some point. So
it's been like 180 million for the opening weekend.
Oh my gosh, right? Fantastic, beautiful, lovely. Okay. I'm telling you guys, we're watching masters at work. We're witnessing history. We're witnessing a feat that was overcome by Ryan Coogler and Cole. It was beautiful. So, okay. I'm going to go and just call on people. Tell me how many times you cried. Tell me your favorite bar. If you can recite the bar word for word, I got you. I love that. Jasmine, you go first.
Oh, okay. I'm not really a crier, but I did get a little misty eyed. Um, Probably toward the beginning when they were burying T'Challa, when Queen Mother died, and when the prince was at the end. So got a little misty for those.
Okay.
Favorite bar would have to come from Namor. He said something like my ancestors would say, like only the most broken people can be great leaders. And I love that because it was like a callback. If you remember, like King T'Chaka said that to T'Challa when he was like, you're a good guy with a good heart. And it's hard for a good man to be king. I'm not going to bring this back to Killmonger, but.
Okay. All right, buddy. You were spitting, but you just brought it back to Killmonger by saying that. No, thank you so much, right? So many bars. I even forgot about that one. Beautiful. Absolutely. Namor was spitting. And again, it made sense for his character arc. And Absolutely. I appreciate that. So a little bit of misty-eyedness and a bar from Namor. Speaking of the funeral, though, I mean, beautiful. My favorite scene, guys, was the way they flipped the coffin for Black Panther up into the spaceship. Why don't we do that in real life? I said, excuse me, let's incorporate some of this. Where's the technology? This is fire. And number two, I was literally floored. I was like, this is gonna be a great movie. The way that these homegoing ceremonies, these funerals, fire, puts ours to shame. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the ship scenes, guys, my heart was beating out of my chest. I was damn near squealing in the theater like a child. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. Black Panther on the side of ships, this huge beautiful ship. We've got the Wakandans, we have the Dora Milaje, we've got the Jabari, we've got everybody. We've got the Talokan, we've got Ironheart, we've got Namor and Atuma doing their thing. Oh my god, so exciting. We got the Dora Milaje in the new suits, right? Beautiful. So much fun. Those are my two favorite scenes. Couldn't believe it. I said, this is what the fuck I came here for. Turn these Wakandans up. Dan, go ahead. Tell me how many times you cried in your favorite bar, if you can give me word for word.
I think I only got all misty the theater was getting a little misty at the end, I think. Really the kind of like the epilogue and then the post-credit sequence. I'm not sure. Nah, I cried a little in the funeral scene too, and that was really more a Chadwick thing than a movie thing. Because that's just so fucking sad. That. Ugh.
Right.
And then I don't know if I have a real best quote, but I do think
anyone that's out to you.
Maybe I do like how Namor's entrance when he had after he surprised the Shurian Queen, and just how scared they were when he threatened them and told them all the stuff we already talked about with how big his army was and everything, but just how scared that made them. I really like that.
Yeah,
that part of it. So, but no real specific quote.
Fair enough. Henry, our lovely co-host, talk to me.
Man, as far as bars go, y'all are gonna hate me for this, but when my man M'Baku said, "You bald-headed demon," I cackled in the theater. I'm sorry. I'm probably gonna be judged for that, but that was very, very funny to me.
Not that being the way for your
it's a classic Nigerian insult. Like, I heard all my uncles in that one line. Like,
you know what? I respect it. That's the experience for people. What we watch, I respect it. I respect it. So you cried how many times? I didn't hear.
So here's the thing. So I took my mom to see it for my second viewing earlier today. I didn't necessarily cry, but my mom was a wreck during the usual Marvel Studios opening that had all pictures of Chad.
There's a moment of silence. Amen. Yes.
Listen, you could hear a church rat pissing on cotton in my screening when it was dead quiet. But yeah, it was some sniffles going on during that part for sure.
Okay, I need more criers in the building. Where are my criers?
I need therapy. What do you want me to do?
What? Okay, I cried 3 times, maybe 3.5. Okay, and shout out to me. I had like 5 favorite bars, but the Fenty line as a Black woman that wears Fenty lip gloss. The Fenty thing was, they didn't have to do that in the movie, and they did anyways. Shout out to them. It was like, for me, it was like Rihanna's gonna get her check. Rihanna's gonna get her shine. She's like, yeah, I came out with the song, but yeah, we're gonna talk about the rest of my billionaire corporation and my products, and we're gonna talk about Fenty 440. And I was like, oh, that's good. I think I'm a 410. I think it might be a 380 right now. Not excited about that. But I love that line. I also love when Angela Bassett's character, her whole monologue again, which was just delivered so succinctly. That is the most powerful person that says what they have to say in 2 minutes. I'm not going to waste your time and gets the fuck up out there. And as far as Jason, please mute. As far as Namor goes, when he said the blades of grass, I was shook. Okay, and then not really a quote for me, but the siren song, right? I think I can remember the last time I heard the siren song aspect in a film used so beautifully was.
That was terrifying.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed. Thank you, Marvel Cinematic Universe, for doing that. The last time sound was played really fun was with was that Thor: Love and Thunder with what's his name, where the sound and the color.
You talking about with the goats yelling?
Yes, yes. That's Thor: Love and Thunder, right? But when they were in the Shadow Realm too, like the sound and the colors there, amazing, fantastic, beautiful use of sound. But I love the siren songs. I think Mad Max Fury Road that had like a scene with the songs in there as well, or with sirens. And then another movie that I can't remember the name of it. Y'all know. Look up
Was it
sirens.
Pirates of the Caribbean?
Pirates of the no, something more.
Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, I feel like had some
Part of the
sirens in
Fire
there.
definitely had that. It was something more recent. It was literally came out in like 2019. It literally came out like 2017, between 2017 and 2019. It was like it's not a very popular movie. Was it Uncharted? No. Might have been Uncharted or might have been another film. But anyways, damn it, I'm gonna remember, guys. I'm gonna remember. It was that movie where I'm gonna remember. But anyways, that was one of my favorites. I'm gonna call on someone else. Where are my real criers at? Angela, are you a real crier? What's going on here?
All right, bruh. I cried like 4 or 5 times during that movie.
Okay, now we're talking. Now we spitting.
So I cried during the opening credits.
Period.
And like, I don't know if the opening credits and the funeral count. And I don't know why this made me emotional, but like when Shuri donned the suit and she like jumped down and she like gave M'Baku a handshake, that shit had me in tears. Like I was like boo-hoo crying. I don't know why that made me so emotional.
Here's the thing. I tried to cry, but I was so turned on. Like that was probably my only kind of issue there. It's like the horniness and the overwhelming emotion was tough for me, but I respect it. Because every time I see M'Baku, I'm like, damn, Lord, God help us,
And like when she gave the girl the car at the end of the movie, when she gave Riri the car, and Riri was like, yeah, I used to work on this with my dad. That also too.
That got me too.
Yeah.
Misty eyed there.
Obviously, yeah, the end when they were when he was like Toussaint, because like Toussaint Louverture, I think he's like the first president of Haiti, or like he's like some important general. I should know this as a Haitian. But yeah, when he was like, yeah, my name's Toussaint, but that's my Haitian name.
Oh my God.
That had me like,
I'm literally tearing up right now. Literally.
I was like, we finally get good, because like Ben Affleck puts Haitians in movies, but it's usually like an African person.
Right.
But like, so I'm glad that, my people got some good representation in this movie.
Baby. This is
thank you.
Important. You fucking deserve it. You kidding me? I'm like, I literally shed 2 tears just now. Oh my, that little fucking baby, I was bawling. Okay, waterworks. I said, oh my God, he has a son.
He looks so much like Chad too. Jesus Christ.
They did a great job. Oh my God, did a great job. Oh, she did a great job. I was just so happy. I was so happy. And like, I don't know about y'all. Y'all probably did a lot. I do everything in my power to make sure I go in blind. I had no idea that was about to happen. I was floored. I loved it. I'm so glad I had no idea that was about to happen. I had inklings. I had tons of theories going into this film. So of course I was like, okay, who are they gonna name as the next king? Blah blah blah. But I had no idea they were gonna do that in the way that they did it. Bawling. So thank you for sharing that. Brittany, are you a real crier? What's going on? Real criers in the building. Welcome to the stage, baby. Brittany Beauty. She does not want to speak. Okay. No, you're not.
I didn't cry. I did get a little watery in the eye, but nothing came down though.
What made you watery in the eyes?
Angela Bassett's part.
Yes.
Yeah, when she saved the new girl, when she saved her in the water.
Dominique.
That part, the beginning of the film when Marvel was paying tribute to Chad.
Right.
Like I like that just, it was super quiet in the theater. Like nobody said anything. Like I'm like chewing popcorn and all of a sudden I just stopped. It was so quiet up in there. So
right.
Yeah.
What was your one of your favorite bars of the film? Or one that stood out to you, one that you remember comes first to your brain?
You said favorite what?
Bars, the quote.
Favorite bars.
Yeah.
Oh, the new girl, she had some funny moments.
She did.
I can't say it verbatim, but when she said Okoye, she was like, You walk around here with that ash on your head or something she said.
Yes,
that shit had me dying.
You know,
them church ladies up in there, they was laughing.
I
They
had to explain to my kids in the theater what ashy meant.
You know what? Shout out to Black Panther Wakanda Forever for making white people have these conversations with their children. Very important. I think it's very important.
Bringing awareness to ashiness is very important.
White people can be ashy. Didn't they say that in the movie? I don't know. White people can be ashy. There is ashiness, and I think TJ shared earlier an anecdote of a son asking his wife what is. So, welcome, Jason Jenner. Did you want to speak on your favorite bar of the film? Jason Jenner.
I haven't seen it yet, but I will.
Okay, perfect.
What?
Tej, your favorite bar in the film, and how many times did you cry?
My favorite bar was easily when M'Baku said they call him Kukuk or whatever the hell that I don't know how to say that. Kukulkan. When he said they call him Kukulkan, he's not a president, he's not a king, he's a god. As a Thor: Love and Thunder truther, I just love the interplay between like humanity and what happens when their gods are gone. And so he's, the reason why he changed his mind from let's kill the fish man to hold on, we might want to chill out for a second is he realized that this war does not end with you killing Namor. They kill their god, they're going to turn up 100 times more.
He also got punched dead in his chest too, though.
And he got his chest plate broken, which will definitely put some straight into your brain. So that was my favorite bar. I cried at least 4 times, but mostly during that funeral. I was an absolute mess. I was a complete mess. I almost left the movie theater. I was doing a bad job.
Not you not seeing the movie almost. Damn.
Oh my god.
Hard.
Winston Duke, he had the mannerisms, the accent, everything down packed. Like he amazing. I love him.
M'Baku. Winston Duke, that's my favorite role of his is M'Baku. I actually don't like to see him in any other roles. I need him in furs, showing a ton of skin and yelling, okay? That's what I like.
Man makes eating a carrot just extremely exciting.
Yes. Sorry, that's not what you were going with that. Sorry. Black Space.
Wow, okay, tone it down.
Black Space. How many times did you cry? What's your favorite
bar? I'd like to shout out the theater I went to, Nighthawk out here in Brooklyn, because they did a whole Chadwick tribute in the maybe 15 minutes before they aired the movie. So they sort of set the mood. I didn't cry, but I hit a strong exhale when they did the slow-mo in the funeral. There's that one shot and they adjust it and then they show Chadwick. I'm like, all right. Had to hold it together.
Yep.
But I felt it. I had an appreciation for the direction, the shot choices there, because that's part of what made it so powerful.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen. Thank you guys so much for joining. Henry, did you get to say your favorite and cry? You did, right?
I did, yes.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming up. I am getting the ding to end this space. We were having a beautiful time. I get into film. I could talk about it for hours. I appreciate you guys spending 2.5 hours with me on your wonderful Sunday to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The discussion and the love for this film does not stop here, you guys. Please tweet out #what we watched, what you loved, what you disliked. If you disliked anything, that you can direct that to Henry. That has nothing to do with me. If you love us, please follow.
Whoa.
Please follow What We Watch Film TV. Please join our community. You guys are all a part of the community. This is not a podcast. I am not here for y'all to just listen to me talk. This is a community. This is an integrated way to speak about film and learn about different perspectives. So please go over to whatwewatch.net and join our community. And we are having our inaugural intimate event January 14th. If you are subscribed to the newsletter, you will get passes to the passcode to buy tickets on eventbrite.com. So thank you so much. This is What We Watch. Bye.